What is up? My name is Grady George. Thank you for joining me tonight on my evening live show, Night Freaks. How are you? Um, okay, look, we got Mitch DC is in the house tonight. Always a pleasure. I was, I wanted, Elisa has hooked back up with Lala. I'm not sure if you guys have been following this. And they were doing a sleep stream. And I was just kind of going to like watch this and kind of like make fun of it. But they shut down right as I was going on. But I wanted to see why.
I'm with the right woman. I'll take it all.
Really?
I mean, she's kind of dumb if she turned it off because, like, they maybe were trying to sleep for like 20 minutes and she was getting donations continuously, you know? So I'm guessing it's just people acting insane, like weird noises and shit. Like she couldn't handle it. There's only like 2 minutes left right here. I would have left it on, man. I think I could deal with this. I would probably get some like earplugs, or just put like some toilet paper in my fucking ears. It's just weird, like watching them like interact the whole day. For me, anyway. But when they got into this hotel, Lala is like completely at home. You can tell she hasn't had her own bedroom in like years, and she just got like right in bed, like went right to sleep. She's totally at peace. Elisa doesn't seem very comfortable at all. She seems to be having a hard time, and I think it would be weird to sleep with an audience. Especially if you're like my thing is, I would probably rip a fart or something in the middle of the night. And if you're her, like no one would care if I ripped a fart, but like her, like it would never like that would be like the meme of the century.
Hello?
Oh, you use white noise. Okay. I've heard of that. I mean, I've heard people tell me that it's a calming sound.
Hello? Lisa?
What?
Hello?
What?
Hello?
I think I'm going
Lisa.
to. I think I'm going to end this. It's just too much. What? What?
Lisa?
What?
Hey, it's Charlie. Are you casting? Are you casting tomorrow?
I don't know.
Well, why are you so angry? What are you doing? I'm
I'm
not at
going,
home
I
right
think
now.
I'm
What are you
going to
doing?
sleep now. I think I'm going to end it. It's just too much. I'm not comfortable.
Nothing?
I'm uncomfortable.
Oh. Well, what, the hotel? You don't like the hotel?
No, I like the hotel. I like the hotel very much.
Then why are you uncomfortable? Why are you uncomfortable?
Why am I uncomfortable? Why do you think I'm uncomfortable?
I don't know. I call.
I guess that was it there. She must have went down at that point. So that kind of like fucked me because I was just going to kind of like have that up here and like talk to you guys, you know, and just sort of like every once in a while I would like, you know, say something about it. I was going to have it like this here. But let's see what else we got here. I got some other clips. Really, I was just kind of like bored, decided to come up. I'm not really prepared to do a show. I have no idea how long I'm going to go. I may only go a few minutes. I may go for a couple of hours. I don't know. But yeah, you know, I just sometimes I feel like I'm not doing the Johnny B interview right now for the last few days because I'm kind of trying something new. You know, I don't get a lot of views on the weekends, so with my uploads, so I'm gonna wait. Oh, that's right, Mr. Bill. You're moving to Miami, right? Are you one of those people that are fleeing Los Angeles because of the cost of living? Or is it just like, does it feel more dangerous there with all the... Because it does look like there's a lot of shanty towns popping up, like literally on every public piece of grass. If you live outside of there now, I will say our issues with our electric grid here in Texas has been politicized, and we really do not have any kind of problem like people across the United States think we do. There was the power lines went down a few years ago from an ice storm because it doesn't get icy here. It's very humid and tropical. And we're also below sea level, so we can't bury our electric lines. So what happened was about huge icicles formed on the power lines and ripped them right fucking down. Now, it doesn't matter what fucking grid we're on. Those power lines are going to fucking come down. We're going to get icicles that come down. And you can't bury it in the fucking ground. So, you know, what the fuck is the point, you know? So I realized that everything's become politicized. And even the Texas power grid, which, you know, anybody that just logically thinks for themselves for 5 seconds would realize that being on the other grid would have not helped at all, you know? But outside that, so I don't know, like sometimes I see all these videos of Los Angeles looking like a shanty town. I just wonder if it's just like, you know, not that bad as it seems, you know. I mean, Houston, when I first moved to Houston, it was a shanty town. I live in a, what do you call that? Safe harbor city, you know, still is. But they must be doing something. I really think they have these FEMA camp facilities built, you know, around. And they really do. Like, remember a few years ago, they were saying they were, like, building FEMA camps. And they were going to stick everybody in it. And it was, like, a big conspiracy theory. And then FEMA really was building facilities for, like, emergency, supposedly, you know. And I mean, you can look all into this. They've got facilities all over the fucking place. And they're usually on I mean, it's really fucked up, man. But anyway, they've been sticking homeless people in there and immigrants and shit at these facilities, like testing them out. I'm not saying they're made for Americans. They could be being made just for exactly what they're, you know, being used for by FEMA. But they've kind of like rounded up a bunch of homeless people and stuck them in those things. From what I've heard, you know, like not out in California, that's not happening, but I think maybe it is. I don't know. I think a lot of people like. I don't think they like force you to go, but they, you can like go there. You know what I mean? And I think once you're in that thing, you gotta like play by their rules. You gotta be in at a certain time. It's almost like a prison camp, but I don't think it actually. I don't think they're actually being held there. That's where Elisa lives. West Palm Beach. Yeah, the cost of living in Houston has went up quite a bit. When I first moved here, I moved here like 17 years ago, but even then, when I moved here, like shit was like dirt cheap, man. Like I couldn't even believe Houston is the fourth largest city in the United States, and it's one of only two what they call world cities. So basically, the majority of the population of Houston is foreign born. So they call that a world city, and apparently there's like 9 or 11 of them worldwide like that. I believe Los Angeles is the other one. It might be New York. I mean, there's another city in the United States. There's 2 of them, and then there's like 11 globally. Yeah, I like it here. I like Texas, I like the people here. I like the way they do things, but it's increasingly becoming like everywhere else, you know what I mean? That's why I'm really big with state rights, because I enjoy the way Texas is run, and I can move here and I can live in it. And if you don't enjoy the way Texas is run, you can like move somewhere else and live like, the way our republic is set up, it's set up to where you have a choices where you can like move to different parts of the country. If you were inclined, you can pursue the type of life you live in. Now you got these people that are born to like Bible Belt people and shit like that. They don't want to live there no more, and they hate it. And and they're always complaining. Well, fucking move, man. There's fucking places for you to go that you would love it. You know what I mean? But no, you want to bitch and whine and complain till they homogenize everything worldwide. I don't even think it's just going to be the United States. I think the whole world's going to be homogenized, right? Like already the differences in the United States, just from when I was a kid. I used to love to go to other cities, other states. They had all different restaurants. They had all different radio stations. They played different kind of music. Now everything's on all the radio stations or some satellite bullshit. You can't escape all across the nation. Like everything's, and I'll tell you, you're even like losing regional dialects. Like people in the South don't have the South twang anymore like they used to. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, they still do to an extent, but I mean, I never hear anybody that sounds all twangy down here in Texas. But of course, I don't live like the city I live in is pretty like it's like Mos Eisley Cantina, from Star Wars. I mean, you don't really have a majority of anything, and it's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like I'll go a long time without seeing another white person sometimes, but it's not like it's all like I'm surrounded by all Asians or black people or Mexicans. We're all in the same boat. Like we're all like looking around like there's only a couple of like, and. That to me is like more comfortable than if you're like there's like one majority there and you're just like the only person that's not part of that majority. Like I guess a lot of minorities might feel that way, but here in Houston, man, it's like everyone's like a minority, man. Dude, I swear there's some people down here I don't even know where the fuck they're from, dude. I have no fucking clue. They even fucking tell me where they're from, and I don't even know where. I've never even fucking heard of it, And they're speaking some language, and I'll look it up, and there's only 40,000 people that speak this language in some like weird desert stretch in India somewhere, Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne fled. I mean, I think Johnny Rotten is about to flee back to Britain too. Man, he's like been saying some like good things about the Queen lately. You know, he does. He's just like he's like totally changed his attitude after what he's experienced in L.A. I think his problem is there's people that literally live on his lawn, and he can't do anything about it. And I was told like I've never lived in Mexico, but I know a lot of Mexican people, and they told me that's like a Mexican thing. Like if you own, like first of all, I think only Mexicans. You have to be born in Mexico to be able to own property in Mexico, or I believe you have to just be like you have to have some kind of lineage as Mexican. So I've also heard like my wife, for instance, she's a Mexican of lineage. She's born in America, but she's never. I don't even know if she's even been to Mexico. And apparently, she can go down there and buy land, possibly. But if you don't allow like the street beggar people to sleep on your lawn, they'll like the villagers will like run your fucking ass right out of there, dude. They don't think that's cool at all, because from their perspective, they're like you're inside sleeping, you got walls up, you have this yard out here that you use, but you're not going to be using it. Everybody's sleeping, so just let these people sleep on your fucking lawn. We don't really have that attitude here in the United States. You know what I mean? I also I can kind of see it to an extent, but the thing of it is, I don't want to have to wonder what these people on my property are fucking doing. And you can also be held accountable if somebody got hurt on your property and all this fucking shit. But that's how it is here in the United States. You know what I mean? I don't know if you could get sued down in Mexico and all that shit, but they just have a whole different philosophy and way of looking at things. Yeah, I mean, most of LA I've seen is the IRL streamers, right? And I mean, they're all kind of broke anyway, and they're all kind of living almost like they're homeless anyway. Like all they have is an RV or whatever. But I mean, the areas where they were at, I mean, dude, it looked fucking bad. Dude, I think I was reading about how the suburbs are the new ghetto or something. I don't know if that's just here but basically, there's been like a big influx of these trendy rich people that want to move back downtown, and they've been gentrifying the downtown areas so they can work in your building and have a little posh space. Like they don't, driving from the suburbs sucks nowadays, I guess. They have all the cool hot spots in these gentrified areas downtown. So they're all the government subsidized housing and shit's going to the suburbs now. And they're actually starting to move all the poor people into the suburbs. And all the rich people are starting to move down to the urban areas, And really, the urban area is built for the poor, if you're poor, you gotta live in the urban area, man, because you ain't got no fucking car. Everything's right there. There's tons of people you could try to find help from or potentially meet. When you're in the suburbs, man, there ain't nobody, dude. I mean, really, most suburbs. I mean, I couldn't even think of a really good intersection to beg for money at. Around here in the suburb I live in. Yeah, Houston is a lot like old Los Angeles, and and as far as the entertainment industry, it is kind of like Mexico's. What do you want to call that? Hollywood. We have a lot of Mexican film and movie stars live in Houston. You'll often see Houston in the TMZ of Mexico. You know. Yeah, I mean, I like Texas a lot. I mean, like I said, I didn't move here seeking to have a good place to live. I got offered a job here, and I got offered a job here, and I got offered a job in Seattle. Basically making about the same amount, maybe a little bit more in Seattle. So I go to look at the cost of living, just the apartments right off the bat, right? And Seattle, like, even back then, man, it was like probably more than I'm paying now, you know? So I was like, well, I can, like, my money's going to go a lot farther here in Texas, I guess, you know? And I probably won't stay at this job for that long anyway, so I'm just going to go here for a few years and try to get out somewhere else. But when I came here, I loved it, man. I mean, everybody, like, the only way I can explain it is they don't sweat the small shit. You know, like where I'm from up north, you know, road rage is very common. You got road rage down here, don't get me wrong. But, you know, if you are road raging down here, it's futile, man. I mean, we have like, I don't know I think it's like 8 or 9 fucking lane highway. I mean, it looks like LA. I mean, the traffic is just fucking crazy, man. You know what I mean? So, and nobody knows how to drive either, you know? Like up north. Oh, I tell you, I go to Denver sometimes. I go there because I like to go there. And every time I go to Denver, like I cannot believe how orderly the driving is. It's just like, it's so fucking insane, man. And they're very orderly in the Midwest too. And if you get out of that, if you just get a little bit out of being orderly, they fucking come at you. But down here, like, no one is orderly. You know what I mean? It's just like people going all over the fucking place. You got people going 30 miles an hour in the far left lane, and there's some guy going like 100 through the middle fucking lane, and, you know, it's just fucking crazy, man. You know what I mean? Constantly. You know, all through it, the semis running through, like, they don't have, they know if there's a fucking wreck, they ain't fucking dying. You know? They don't give a fuck. Really, LA is mostly Central. Oh, Central American. Okay, yeah. I mean, I know their taxes there. That's the thing. We're getting a lot of LA transplants out here, and they seem to be trying to escape the taxes. And there's a lot of people here that worry that, well, these are the same people that are going to come in and like try to vote in all these taxes here. And they do seem like they are like that, you know what I mean? Like they're bitching and complaining about all the taxes they had to pay, and they came here, right, so they could have like a cheaper cost of living. It's just getting too expensive for them, right? And then I hear them like fucking bitching and complaining that we don't have these certain programs there for the poor, and like none of them are poor, so I don't even know why they fucking care. I mean, I could see like why you do care about your fellow man to a certain point, but if that's how it is, stay where the fuck you are, man. You know? But on some level, I think that since they are people that are trying to escape taxes, they probably will. You would think they would probably want to vote differently than how the majority of the Californians are. I think it, like I kind of feel like there was just a shitload of poor people like moved to California, man, from all over the United States because they were hearing about all these great benefits out there and shit, you know. And of course, yeah, they're all going to vote for that, you know. So I almost feel like the majority of the voters are the people that aren't even paying for it. I don't even know like what they're going to fucking do, you know. Like at some point, I mean, I think the whole entertainment industry is kind of moving out there. I mean, I know like ABC, Disney, they moved their shit out here, you know. They still like film shows out there, but other like business shit has moved here, you know. Got Tesla moved here, you know. Who else you got? I mean, there's been a ton of people fucking moved here. It's all to escape taxes, and they start bitching about they want basically want shit that's going to cost us more. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, man. I mean, look, I don't mind paying taxes, really, you know. What I mind is that the more taxes I pay, the shittier everything around me is becoming. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure, like, I'm paying the most taxes I've ever paid ever, you know, and everything just looks like shit. Nothing's getting fixed. They're supposedly they passed some $1 trillion fucking budget that's going to fix the roads and shit. Dude, the shit, for that much money, the shit better look fucking like it's paved in fucking gold. And it needs to look like downtown Tokyo everywhere, you know? But it won't. You won't see nary a fucking change. You're going to be fucking driving over bumpy ass roads all tore up from industry who sticks the taxes on you while you're just trying to go to fucking work, you know? See. Yeah, Texas is getting expensive. I mean, but I mean, like the value of my house is more than double just in a few years, man. It's crazy. And it's still like dirt cheap. Like the value of my house is like dirt cheap. Like I think a house like mine would cost like $1 million, and like in Los Angeles, dude, it's fucking crazy. I couldn't even like fathom that, you know. Even now, like it's maybe like I could get a quarter of that, you know. Yeah, but the Midwest, they're like real uptight. You know what I mean? Like they're always up your ass about dotting your I's and crossing your T's and all that shit. You know. Down here, they don't give a fuck about shit like that. You know, like if you're late, I mean, my job where I used to work, the last couple of years I worked there, they started getting a little bit more stickler about people coming in late. So they passed a rule that if you're more than 15 minutes late, they give you like a demerit or something, right? And then like after like 6 times you're like 15 minutes late, you get, I don't know, you get like you get suspended without pay for like a day or something. And then like it gets up to a certain amount to where you could possibly face termination, you know, but it's like an incredible amount. And the people I worked with just went fucking nuts, man. I mean, they were like going to fucking riot, dude. And they had to take it back, dude. I mean, they had to change it a little bit, you know. I mean, they still like whatever they did was like not even that fucking bad, you know what I mean? These people down here were like, we ain't fucking doing it, man, you know. And yeah, so but up in Indiana, like you couldn't be 1 minute fucking late, dude. Oh, they would rip your fucking ass out for being like 1 minute fucking late. Big fucking deal. And really, there is no big fucking deal, you know? If you have a reason, like I guess if there's someone waiting for you to leave, or waiting to leave for you to show up, they can't leave till you show up. But I've never had, I mean, I'm sure there's jobs like that here, but I've never had a job where there's somebody like waiting for me to show up to leave, you know? Yeah, Berger is like a typical Hoosier guy. I really don't believe I am, you know. In fact, I've always been. They've always found me kind of weird, you know. I have family that, like, I don't even sound like people from Indiana, you know. I don't dress like them. I don't look like them, and I never have. And I always felt like an alien there, you know, and they treated me as such as well. And I hate their guts, really, most of them. You know, I'm not like I'm a big fan of some things in Indiana, and I will say that it's a nice place to live. You know, if you want a really dull, boring life where you're, you know, it's sort of like a hive mentality where you're kind of like bullied into being like everyone else, you know. If you're into that, that's what I'm saying. That's why I love that I live in a republic where you can like move around. You know, I just got lucky. I moved to Texas and boom, like right off the bat, I liked it better than this. I doubt I would have liked the Pacific Northwest from what I've heard of it, you know, just how it is there, you know. But maybe I would. I don't know. I feel like maybe I would like it there and maybe I wouldn't like it there, you know. Yes, when I moved to Houston, I moved into the Fifth Ward because I was a Ghetto Boys fan, and I wanted to tell people lived in the Fifth Ward. And honestly, I I haven't really analyzed this, you know, my behavior, but I feel like I was sort of terrorizing some family members by, you know, announcing that I was going to seek out to live where the Ghetto Boys lived, the Fifth Ward, because they had heard me like listening to the Ghetto Boys ever since I was like 15, talking about the life of Houston, you know, and Fifth Ward. And I would always talk about Fifth Ward, you know, Compton, you know, because I liked NWA. So when I moved to Houston, I was like, man, I got to move to fucking Fifth Ward, right? So I wasn't really serious about moving to Fifth Ward, but as it turned out, I have a friend who has a warehouse in the Fifth Ward that he was renting out, and that's where I lived. Like I moved in with my friend from college, and I lived in this warehouse in the Fifth Ward, and it was not zoned to live in, but I lived there anyway. And it was a pretty bad. I mean, could you imagine living in a fucking warehouse? You know, it was pretty fucking badass, dude. And dude, we never had like the doors locked there or anything. But when you came in, it was like a labyrinth of like, you know, like more than likely like I would be in the warehouse like hiding and shit. You know, like up in the rafters, like. I had like a little nook up there that I was fucking like just, you know, I was like Phantom of the Opera, like in this giant fucking warehouse, like, you know. It was cool, it's fun. And then after that, that's when I moved to Chinatown, which is actually like Vietnamese town. Actually, her and Jay-Z actually live here, and I actually went to a place where, I don't know, I was involved in a book being published, and this local artist was designing the book and printing it and doing all that, you know. So They wanted us to come over to his house, and he actually lives across the street from Jay-Z and Beyonce's mansion there. But I mean, they weren't there, or I've never actually seen them here. However, I'm they have like family members that have like they have like a Korean barbecue or something, and they all look like Beyonce working in there, and they're like some kind of relatives of hers, you know. What up, Adam S? It's Saturday night, and I'm live. I don't know, John B. You know, we'll see. I figure like so far, I mean, I don't think they are, you know. And we also have some very strange provisions, you know. Like there's a governor and there's a lieutenant governor. And then there's some other like a secondary governor guy, and they're like always like fighting with each other and shit, which I didn't have that in the Midwest. We just had like one governor. But it's sort of like a count. Like they always talk about that dude that's like the Texas governor, which I know his name, Greg Abbott, right? And everybody hates him and stuff, but there's like two other guys that are like as powerful as him, you know? And they're constantly like fucking with him and shit, you know? To me, it's like they want to get it to a point where it's just like majority rules. You know what I mean? Across the whole, probably the whole world is what they want. They want majority rules the world, right? So, you know, so you just got to get like 51% of the population to agree to something, and they can just like. And to me, I feel like you can get 51% of the population to agree to anything with the right kind of PR. Yeah, there were a lot of corn. Like I used to go corn in cars and shit. Me and my friends, we would. It was always like towards the harvest, there'd be like some dead corn stalks and shit. We'd go like take all the corn kernels because they'd be hard, like little rocks. You know, we'd like take it off the corn cobs and we would put them in a sock and we would hide in the bushes, and we'd throw like a handful of corn at cars coming by. And it would like leave scratches all over their fucking cars. And one time this guy fucking chased us through this fucking field. I thought he was gonna kill us. But that's the kind of shit we do like in Indiana. And it's like, why? You know? I mean, I don't know what they did down here. But like that kind of shit, like I don't miss it. I don't miss Indiana. I don't miss corn in cars for fun. We used to go cow tipping too. And I tipped this fucking, me and a bunch of dudes tipped this cow over one time and it went fucking nuts, dude. Somebody told me that kills the cow, but I don't think so. I don't think this cow got, I don't know. Like I would have never done it if I thought I was going to kill the fucking cow, but then somebody's like, oh, you killed that cow. They can't be tipped over like that. They'll fucking die, you know. And I'm like, man, this cow got up and was fucking pissed like a motherfucker, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Like the thing about it is Texas is such a vast area, and they have all the major cities locked down. And when I say they, I'm talking about the Democrats, the liberals, you know. And I don't think, nationwide, they act like anybody who's not a white male could not ever possibly be a conservative. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, I don't really think Mexicans in general are really like natural conservatives. And I don't think gays are natural conservatives either, you know? I mean, the Democratic Party to me is the party of racism, you know? Because they're the ones that are all about what color you are and what gender you are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like being asked what color I am on everything I fucking do. You know? And I don't think I would appreciate that as a minority either. You know? But I don't even like it as a majority, you know? I don't even like that they even keep records of if I'm a male or female, you know? Like, why? What does it matter? I feel like, as far as the government goes, I should just be my social security number, and that's all they fucking need to know. They don't need to know if I'm a man or a woman or what race I am. Who gives a fuck? But no, they want to. We got to make sure the men and the women get what's coming to them. We got to make sure it, you know. Well, okay, if you're talking about breaking it up by the numbers, the white people are going to get the most, right? Because like they always are having these headlines like, oh, the death of the white people, you know. And what they do is they take like all these like different minorities and nationalities and they add them up against like one type of white person, which by the way, Hispanics, their birth certificates say they're Caucasian, man. You know what I mean? And I know Italians now are trying to say they're not Caucasian either, but they've always been white people, you know. But the white people are still going to be the majority by far because it's like, yeah, maybe you could take all these different races and it's going to be more than the white people, but there ain't going to be like one race of people that are like more than the white people at all for a long ass fucking time here, you know, unless they keep bringing in people that are not white, you know. And what I say by that is, as I just said, I believe Hispanics are white, you know what I mean? But so I don't really think that's really putting a dent in the white people here in the United States is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? You would have to get like a lot of people from the Middle East. So they're going to Europe. They're going to Britain. You know, they're going to where Mitch lives, you know. I mean, you know, they're kind of like how we see. The thing about Mexican people is I can't even fucking tell. I can't even tell if they're Mexican. Like, sometimes you can, but I mean most, like here in Texas, man, like everybody you meet is Hispanic, and most of them look white people. You know, you don't ever fucking know until they say their last name's Rodriguez or something, you know. And then sometimes like totally white people would be like going, "Oh yeah, Viva Mexico" and stuff, and they're just like as white as this fucking cup, dude. I mean, I don't know, I don't get it. But everything's like everything's all broken up by like what race you are, what gender. What difference does it fucking make? See, that's where we get into gender, where people go, gender is just like a made up, you know, abstract thing. You know, it doesn't really. To me, race is like that. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like until we start treating each other as the human race, and we move against, you know, we move away from these sort of like old time villager fucking ideals of, you know, tribalism and shit, you know. That's the only way we're going to be able to move forward. And I'm already there. I don't even like think of race or anything like that. As far as gender, I don't give a fuck, you know. I don't think that, to me, there's like two genders basically, you know what I mean? But if you say otherwise, I do not give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard people like, I'm an expert and I got a degree and there's actually, you know, endless genders, you know. I'm like, okay, you know, I don't give a fuck. I just know there's like dicks and pussies, man, you know, and you're born with one of them. And sometimes there's people born with both and shit like that. And that's when we get into like, you know, some weird things. But just, if you're a guy with a dangly earring and a leather jacket and a beard and you got eyeliner on and you're telling me to call you ma'am, like I don't relate to your. I think you're just like fucking with me, man. You know what I mean? In fact, I know you are. I know you are. I don't care if I fucking piss you off, you know? Because you're fucking with me, dude. I'm just a guy. I get, you know, I don't even need to know you fucking exist, man. Get out of my face, you know? Not only do I not care about your pronoun, I don't give a fuck that you're alive or dead. You know, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. And having said that, I will say that I do respect people's pronouns when I'm on. What I'm talking about is people that don't look like what they say they are, and they're going nuts on you because you won't call them what they say they are, you know? And I think that some people just go, well, I like to be polite. Polite just, you know, and, oh, they might hurt themselves because they really feel like, you know, dude, I know there's a guy, okay? I mean, there's a woman that I know at this place I frequent, you know? And they have their pronoun is her and all this stuff, and dude got a beard bigger than mine. A fucking beard, dude. No makeup whatsoever, dude. He just looks like a dude standing there. And I feel like he's like kind of waiting, you know, for like some, you know, you have to ask them to say something about their pronoun, and they're just gonna like pounce and shit. I'm just like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna go somewhere else, you know? Fuck this, dude. I don't give a fuck. I think that's across the United States, you know? By the way, I keep thinking what I just said about, like, I don't care if you live or die, you know, or whatever. I don't want it to sound like that because I do feel like I am a trans ally, you know. I have several trans friends, you know. But I feel like those people, those type of trans people, make it harder for actual trans people that are suffering from birth defects and things like that, you know. And also, what do they call that, body dysphoria and stuff like that, to where I suppose you could have body dysphoria and think you're a woman but still look like a man. But wouldn't you try to be, if you thought you were a woman, like, wouldn't you try to be looking like a woman, you know, in some way? Like, to me, it's like, if I thought I was a woman, at least maybe I'd be like wearing pink or something, you know, or I don't know. So that's where I feel like these people are fucking with me, trying to pull me into their, and that's the other thing. I don't care, man. You know what I mean? I don't care where people go to the fucking bathroom. I don't fucking care. I mean, I don't give a fuck, dude. Just leave me the fuck alone, you know? Like, I like to go to the toilet where there's a stall, you know what I mean? So I usually will go into the stall, you know? If there's a urinal, I'll go there and I'll urinate. And I feel like there's been dudes that have looked at my cock before, like actual dudes. I feel like that's happened to me. Not once, but a couple times, especially at nightclubs and shit like that. So I was like, me and Drizzle get into an argument about this, you know, because I feel like Drizzle, I think, is like a dude, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I don't think of him as anything else, and I feel like, you know, you can look at photos of Drizzle when he was younger, and he still looked like a dude, even before he did testosterone. He just didn't have the facial hair. He might even already have some facial hair, to be honest with you, man. Like, he seemed like he might have had like a little mustache or something. So it's not hard. It's not hard for me to get into that mindset that Drizzle's a fucking guy, but it's just that I don't even know how I start talking about this, man. You know what I mean? I need to get off of it because my point is, like, I'm not even a trans, you know. But what I'm saying is, nobody that I hear anything about trans issues from is a trans either, man. You know what I mean? And nothing I hear like Black Lives Matter kind of stuff from are black people. You know what I mean? Nothing I really hear LGBTQ kind of stuff from are gay people, you know? Yeah, I will hear in the black community some people saying they're down with BLM, or gay people saying they're LGBTQ. I just never have had anyone come up to me invoking those organizations who were actually gay or a minority. You know, they're always white people who are Democrats, and they have identified me as not a Democrat. So they come over like I got some kind of like no, like that's the whole thing about being conservative is like you don't give a fuck. You don't worry about other people. You just worry about your fucking self, dude. You know. That's why conservatives don't get together and protest and shit because they have problems with each other, as it is anyway. They don't necessarily like each other. They just agree that they have the right to exist and live and pursue the kind of life they want to live, and that's why gay people used to be conservative. And you can go back. I mean, this goes back all the way to the beginning of the Republican Party. Almost every politician ever involved in a gay scandal have been Republican people, you know. And that's because, like, they live a different lifestyle outside the norm. So that's why you would be conservative, because conservatives want to be able to move somewhere and take over the local government and set things up the way they like it, you know. And truly, like, people in the area, it might suck for them if they're already there and they don't like it, but the majority has spoken. That's where the majority does speak, you know, on a smaller scale. I don't mind the majority speaking for, like, even speaking for a state I think is too much, but for like a county or something, that's fine. You know, if you want the, like, what is that, Dearborn, Michigan, where they ring these like Islamic bells or something at, like, you know, 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning or something every day, even on a Saturday, I think, you know. Yeah, if the people want that, that's fine with me, dude, you know. If you don't like it, fucking move. There's so many places you can fucking move. I don't want to get to a place where there ain't nowhere to move, man. You know what I mean? You're doing like shit here that makes you fucking depressed. You hate it. You don't want nothing to do with it. You're being forced to do it. So you're like, okay, I'm going to move over here to the other side of the country. And it's the exact same way. You cannot escape the oppression, you know? That's what I'm against. Well, I mean, I think Minnie does have some issues, you know, that, I mean, do you think, I mean, John B., do you think Minnie could just, like, you know, I mean, we've seen him, I don't want to talk about Minnie, you know, I like Minnie, he's a cool guy. And I don't think he's doing anything wrong. In fact, I think it's pretty cool. He's got a pretty nice place over in Chicago, and I think it's cool that he can get that place, you know. Yeah, that's where I'm saying, like, I feel like we're like a third world country now. Like we already are. Everybody keeps saying if we don't change our ways, we're gonna be a third. No, we are a third world country, bro. There's fucking cocaine in the White House, bro. Oh, I see. Yeah, the Flemish. Yeah, I can see. I think the French people here who haven't been in France for generations are like that. It seems like. But I do like that. I guess I probably would like the French. You know what I mean? I probably now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, I do like the French. I don't know why. Like my whole life, everybody here hates the French or whatever. But I always thought they were cool. Ms. Fucking Wonderful. I need to check her out. I think maybe you told me about her before. I wanted to check it out. I thought Joe was in Michigan. Yes, I love Bushwick Bill. You know, I've met him. Willie D did say let a hoe be a hoe. And I'm pretty far behind on the... I hate to get to this trans part here. I don't know, like... Yeah, I don't even want to like make it a party thing, you know, because I'm not a Democrat, and I'm also not a Republican, you know. I have voted both ways, and I've voted third party, you know. I don't feel the current administration is getting it done, man. You know what I mean? I mean, you can blame COVID or you can blame whatever, but I mean, shit is abysmal right now. Something needs to change. Yeah, just like making like that's my problem with gay marriage, okay? So a lot of people back when gay marriage was a big thing, they go, "Grady George, are you pro gay marriage?" And I'm like, "No, I'm against it." And they're like, "Oh, fuck you, you piece of trash," you know, blah blah. But they would never ask me why, you know what I mean? And the reason is I'm against straight people getting married. You know what I mean? And that's not a joke. What I'm saying is I don't understand why the government anoints certain individuals the ability to be married. You know what I mean? Like they say, okay, man and woman can be married, and the only thing they've done is just anointed gay people now. Now there's two special privileged groups, but there's all kinds of people that can't live the life they want to live in America. And you're like, well, who are you talking about, Grady? Well, I'm talking about the Muslims and I'm talking about the Mormons. You know, they believe in polygamy and they believe in having multiple wives, and that is their religious pursuit. The religion fucking tells them that. That's your very first fucking unalienable right here in America. It's freedom to pursue your fucking religion, man. But they tell people based on Christian morals, because that's where it's coming from, right? No, you're not allowed to have two wives. Well, their fucking religion says they can, dude. And I don't give a fuck if people have multiple wives. Like most likely, like I probably wouldn't live in a community with people that had multiple wives. I would imagine they probably would be like in a Mormon community or kind of city like that, or they'd probably be in some town where there's a lot of Muslim people or something that. And to be fair, not all Muslim people believe in that either. That's just some of them believe in that, you know. But I feel like that if that is their religion and that's what they want to do, I don't give a fuck, man. You know? Well, my thing is when you're trying to blame the exact group on what happened to the American Indians, is it the Pilgrims that did it? I mean, because I don't believe so, you know. I believe the Native Americans were already pretty bad off by the time they came here, you know what I mean? And that was the Spanish people, the people that created Mexico and all that, and they speak their language and they have their customs, a lot of it. they had they broke off from Spain like we broke off from Britain, but that doesn't mean that we're now Native Americans. You know what I mean? No, we're Europeans that broke off from Europe. Same with them down there, dude. In my opinion, they're all European. And they're the ones that brought the fucking supposedly the syphilis quilts and all that shit. It wasn't the Pilgrims, from my knowledge. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I can't believe hip hop is 50 years old. I can remember when nobody listened to it, except for me. And there were no radio stations that played it at all. And I would go to the record store, and they had a little tiny rap section, and whatever new tape would appear there, I would just fucking buy it. That's how I got the Ghetto Boys. I went to the store and it was actually Grip It on That Other Level, which is the one that came out prior to the Rick Rubin one. Because the Rick Rubin one, Ghetto Boys, it's just like a redone version of Grip It on That Other Level, but I prefer Grip It on That Other Level because it's like way more raw. But I think probably the Rick Rubin version is a little bit like more poppy, actually. Like, I think it pleases most people's ears a little bit better, but on the cover of Grip It on That Other Level, I saw Bush. They're like, it's like the Ghetto Boys, and they're standing in a parking lot, And I think Scarface doesn't have a shirt on, and he's kind of fat, and he's just like standing there. And then there's Bushwick, and he's all like buff and shit, looking. And I was like, I have to buy that. I just bought it, sight unseen. And then I started listening to it, and they were talking about cutting people up and playing with their insides and shit. I mean, I couldn't even believe what they were talking. I mean, you're talking about when I first heard the Ghetto Boys, it was 1980s, man. And that shit was, and I was a pretty young kid. That's what I think, Mitch DC. So like what I'm trying to say is I feel like there is there's like a trans movement, right? Where there's actual trans people, which I could be wrong, but I feel if you're actually a trans person and you're a man that identifies as a woman, and you feel like you are a woman, and you probably look like a woman, and vice versa for the women who feel like they're men, and they probably go through life, I mean, what I'm saying is if you're uncomfortable from a trans person, it's because that you recognize they're not a man or a woman, they're the opposite of what they're claiming, and then you kind of freeze up and you don't know what to do, which I will admit that there are some people that, are not exact, you can kind of tell they're not exactly man or woman, but they're a lot more closer. They're at least dressed that way, they're acting that way, But then you got these other groups of people who I don't really even think are trans, and they can't. Because what you have is these like trans race people, they're involved in it too. Like that's one of the things people bring up a lot when they're talking about trans issues. They'll show like Rachel Dolezal saying she's black or whatever, and then you got that dude, that like 50-year-old guy that thinks he's a 4-year-old girl, and some couple that actually has 4-year-old girls like adopted this guy. And he sleeps in their bedroom and plays with them all day and shit. And he's got pigtails, and he's like in a playpen with these like little kids all fucking day, with these two weirdos claiming they adopted him. And they put that on the trans people. And then you got the whole drag queen story time hour, which I feel is completely misrepresented in the media, and it also like causes trans people to get a lot of shit because like I really feel like the biggest problem about trans story, I mean, I'm sorry, not trans story time, but the drag queen story hour is that is adult entertainment, you know. It always has been, you know. I mean, the history of it started off in adult bars. They're very dirty shows, you know. And if you want to take it a step further, they're making fun of women. And, you know, they're all like big fat pigs with clown makeup on. You know, they're making fun of women because they don't like women. They like dudes. They're gay guys. They like to fuck gay guys. And they're making fun of what the non-gay guys think are hot or whatever. And they get up there and make fun of them and all this fucking shit. And, you know, I'm sure like some of them really do like Cher and they dress up like that or whatever. But for the most part, it is like, sort of like ripping on women, you know. But I don't think people want their kids at this event. You know, drag queen shows are generally in adult bars. You know what I mean? That's where they're held usually. Now you're going to have some. Well, there's an adult drag queen show at my local coffee shop today, sir. You know. Well, what I'm saying is the history of it. It would be like if, like, all of a sudden they started playing porn movies at the movie theater, right? And all of a sudden Ron Jeremy's being brought into the fucking school to talk to the kids, you know, on career day or whatever, you know. I mean, like, maybe porn had gotten to that place where we could put movies in the fucking movie theaters, but bringing Ron Jeremy to school to talk to the kids is not what would not be optimal, in my opinion, you know. So to me, that's what's going on with the drag queen story time, and that's not even a trans thing. Drag queens are not even trans at all. Sure, they're gender bending if you want to take it to there, but I've actually known and been friends, very close friends with one drag queen, and I knew a bunch of drag queens through him in real life, you know. And that guy was not trans, you know. None of them were. They lived their life as men. They liked men, you know. They did it because they thought it was fun, you know. They would go out there and they would, you know, act like women and, you know. The guys that they hang out with don't want to fuck them because they're dressed up like women. They don't like women, dude. You know what I mean? So they getting dressed up like a woman and turning on these gay guys, right? They're making fun of women, dude. That's what the whole thing's about. And I don't got a problem with it, but you got people coming out of the woodwork to defend this shit, and it's not as up on the level as you think it is, as people try to make it out to be. You know. Yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, I don't see gay people as really having a place in the Democratic Party. You know, as a group that, I mean, sure, like right now they're being used. They're like a, what do you call that? The conservatives do the same thing to the religious. You know, they act like they got their best interest at heart. Nothing ever changes for them. Now, recently, I mean, if you want to call that a win for the religious, you know, I feel like just morally, adoption, you know, is suspect. I mean, I'm sorry, adoption. I mean, abortion. You know, you can call that a win for the religious, sure. You know. But I'm not religious, and I'm not really. To me, it's like it's one of those things where I'm not a woman for one thing, you know. So it doesn't. I can't like come out fighting everybody's causes for them. You know why? Because I have plenty of causes that affect me directly, much more than all these other causes everybody puts fucking first for themselves. It's all like very trendy, and I don't feel like most of the people like this when they're talking. There are a few people that I do feel like are legitimately well-meaning people. I feel like they're naive sometimes, and I think they're being used, because they think like the government cares about us, and they think that they don't. They tend to be young, and they haven't really like fully experienced the reality of the situation that they were living in, you know. And they're very idealistic, and they think, well, I'm just going to do this, because you didn't do it, so I'm going to do it. And a lot of the, at some point, you find that this is just how it is. This is what you're going to have to fucking do. So I fight. I try to fight the shit that affects me the most. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't really get into like I'm not gay. I'm not trans, but at the same time, I feel like they have rights too. Like I'm for everybody to do what they want to do. You know what I mean? But I should still. I mean, and I don't have any problem with gay people or anything like that, because the way I said that could be twisted that I'm just saying I'm not gay. You know what I mean? So why would I spend every minute of my day worrying about gay issues, or worrying about if women could have abortions, or worrying, how black people are being treated if there's enough black people being employed at the local job, like, I understand why they care, and I understand why they want to fight for that. But I don't, like, to me, it's just, I don't feel like these people that are out there doing this really give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's all fake. It's all fake. And it enrages me. And they're all like almost reading off of cue cards. Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, to me, I don't mind trans people, and I also don't think that they probably have faced the ones that society doesn't accept have faced a lot of problems. But if you're if you're, I guess if you're a passable trans, if somebody finds out, I really don't think anybody gets that bent out about it, or they will go out of their way to fuck with you. They'll just kind of like, oh, because I've actually known some people. Like where I found out they were actually the other sex. I didn't even know it. And I was like, oh wow, like I didn't even. Yeah, I can't even think of Drizzle as a chick, man. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, 20-ton child. And it goes both ways, really. The When you're talking about the parties, they're so divided. And then the issues, it gets a little weird, because I feel like a lot of the criticism they put on the right is actually left stuff. For instance, the unions, you know what I mean? I mean, the unions, they don't want the jobs being shipped out of America, going to another country, and so that the company can save a bunch of fucking money for themselves. You know what I mean? But that's Democrat. You know what I mean? But they act like it's the right that, or maybe they think the right wants to move all the stuff out of here. Because me as a conservative, I don't want to. I don't want to move all the shit out of here. I guess there are a lot of conservatives that were people that yeah, see, like, I'm sitting here thinking about it now, and I feel like I don't know, I'm gonna think about that for a minute. Yeah, that's such a disgusting thing to say. Like, I found that like to be very offensive, to be honest with you. As a white guy, that's feeling offended on behalf of black people. You know what I mean? But I mean, there's nobody like more elitist scumbag ass kissing motherfucker than Joe Biden. You know what I mean? I mean, didn't he vote against the Civil Rights Act or something like that? And he used to hobnob with all these like real kook. They try to make it seem like Trump's a Klan member, when Biden actually used to hang out with real Klan members, and there's photos and like newspaper articles about it and everything. And they're like, you guys are arm around him, hey, and claiming that they made his career and all this fucking shit. Real fucking Klan members, man. But they'll vote for that. That's why I know that they had these moral objections that they're always bringing up about supposedly the right. They don't give a fuck, because they don't give a fuck about it when it comes to Biden. The hair sniffing Ku Klux Klan running around with guy that was behind that crack law that put a bunch of black people in prison for fucking life, turned them into fucking slaves. Yeah, oh yeah, you're real. You got a lot of morals. You got a lot of, give me a fucking break, dude. You know you're full of shit. What did I say? Dude, the economy is fucked, That's what I'm saying. To me, it's all being done on purpose, And it's not just what they've done is they've gotten a bunch of countries on the U.S. dollar through the oil trade. Now they're going to pop the fucking dollar, and it's going to bring a bunch of countries to their fucking knees. Unless somebody that could come up with one plan, it's going to be some Rockefeller 60-year-old fucking plan laid out, decades ago. Oh, we got this here, we'll become a world government. We'll have our own districts, like the U.S. will turn into North America, and then China will be the Asian Union, and Australia will be underneath them. Oh, it'll be glorious, It's like, no, I don't, but I feel like they did all this on purpose, and it's all these like G7 countries, if you go look at them, man, they're all being overrun by immigrants who are like stomping out their fucking culture, man. You know what I mean? This is like a Maoist playbook. This is exactly how Mao did it, dude. And then they're turning the young people against the old with this like boomer shit and stuff. Like, I couldn't imagine hating old people. The way these like in China, they were like killing their own parents and shit. They were so fucked up from schooling that they were fucking getting like, this is what they're fucking doing here, dude. This shit's been played out on other people before. Now they're doing it on the countries that they used to not do it to, Middle East is very aware of these tactics. Africa, very aware. Yeah, I guess you could have like that where it comes down to where for instance, I'll give you a perfect example that we already have this issue going on in America, is that there are some Muslim communities that have gained control of most of the local government, and the whole concept of Sharia law has entered the picture, So, I mean, I feel like we could get to a point where a Sharia law type government has been established locally somewhere, which I believe that gives you the right to kill your kids, and all kinds of stuff if they've dishonored you, and nothing will happen to you. So you might have somewhere a guy like kills his kid, and they do that here quite a bit. They usually flee the country after doing it. Happens here in Houston all the time, because Middle East families move here, and because a lot of them are in the oil business, and it's where they do oil stuff here, and they're very wealthy people. A lot of them are very wealthy that do this. They're not like it's just their mentality from their country, you know. Their daughter will start hoeing it up, man. You know, like I mean, like you know, acting like an American. You know, the same shit American dads go. I'm sure a lot of American dads would like to do the same thing sometimes, because you know, they're just out of control. They're rebellious. You know, you tell them you can't go out with some dude, and you're finding out they're going out with these dudes and shit. Well, these Muslim dudes, they'll just like kill you. You know what I mean? And I think when you're over in, you know, not all Muslims, you know, that type that are into that Sharia law or whatever. Not all of them are into that, so I want to rephrase that. But to me, that should be obvious. But you know, everybody always takes everything you say literally, exactly 100%. But yeah, so to them, it's no thing. You know, they dishonored their family. They gotta die. You know. So I can see a situation where somebody kills their kid in an honor killing, and the local police refuse to do anything about it. The local prosecutors refuse to do anything about it. So at that point, you're going to have probably you're going to have the public begging to take our rights away. You know what I mean? We can't have this. You know, oh no, you know. I don't care if people get married to multiple chicks, man. I don't give a fuck, okay? I do care if people are being like revenge or honor killed and stuff like that. Then that should not be happening. And that's when you get into that. Yeah, it's a slippery slope, right? What should it be? But to me, it's a long ways off from marriage to killing. You know what I mean? To me, like being able to be married to who or how you want to get married is fine to me. And I don't think that the government should have any involvement in it whatsoever at that point. What I'm saying is you do away with all the marriage laws, and then if you're whatever you are, you find somebody to marry you and you want to walk around saying you're married, that's fine. Tax-wise, there's no benefit to being married no more. You know, I'm fine with that. Because to me, being married is more of a spiritual ceremony anyway. So having the government involved is dumb. You possibly could if they ever started cloning them, like attaching them and shit. I mean, it's possible, maybe. Drizzle told me that they can make two lesbians can have a baby now, and they don't even need sperm. And I looked that up, and it just seemed kind of like that was true, man. But the way it was written to me, it sounded like the baby would be a clone, not a combination of the two, because the procedure basically sounded exactly like what the cloning procedure sounds like. And I can't even believe that they would even be doing that legally right now, so it could just be something he's heard about. Well, I mean, part of that is like getting you to accept things that you know are not true, right? Or look at things differently or whatever. That's part of how they're doing it, in my opinion. I am not an Astros fan. I don't like baseball at all. That's how I feel, Mitch. You know, and I feel like, do I care if you as a parent want to take your kid to a drag queen show where there's no where I guess I would have a problem with it if they're telling raunchy jokes. Let's just say they're doing it like drag queen story time hour style at somebody's house or whatever, and I found out, like, I don't think the cops should be able to arrest you for that, you know, because you allow your kids to go around drag queens. I just don't think that kids at schools or just going to the library should be exposed to that if their parents don't want them to be exposed to that. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't feel like it should be illegal, but I don't feel like it should be like in the public libraries. I don't think it should be like family night anywhere. I suppose private businesses can do whatever they want to do, you know. That's cool with me. But anything where there just might be people taking their kids or just school children using those facilities whose parents are not aware they're being exposed to this, I don't think that's good. And when I say exposed to this, I'm not talking about the possibility of trans people. Like, if they had a program where they had actual trans people come in, talk, and read stories to the kids, it would just look like a man or a woman. And if it's a man, they're going to be dating a woman, a real woman, because they're not gay. They consider themselves men, and they like women, you know. Or the women, if they don't consider themselves gay, they like men, you know. They're representing a straight couple, you know. That's what they're into. That's what most of the trans people are into. They're not. I mean, I guess you would say they're gay because they were born the same sex. But what I'm saying is that gay people like the same sex. Trans people, they like looking like this sex, but they're attracted to the opposite sex. You see what I'm saying? Ron Jeremy is actually in a hospice, if you want to know. He will not stand trial for any of those accusations. It has been declared that he is insane, and he will never, he's going to die soon. So they just kind of put him in a hospice to die. Hey, Tom. Yeah, I don't, honestly, to be honest with you, I don't know what autogenophilia is. You know, there's so many new terms that I'm unaware of. John B., I thought you liked Mr. Based because you told me to interview him. I thought you liked him. Oh, but you're talking about, wasn't he involved, allegedly, wasn't he involved in like escorting or something? And one of the escorts died from a drug overdose or something, and they said that it was the date rape drug supposedly, but nobody got. I don't know that much about it. I don't want to say anything that, because like I would hate people just make up shit about anybody nowadays, and people go around repeating it, and I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't care if he bangs. That's his biz, you know. Like I said, I'm not a homophobe, but I'm not anti-trans people either. So. Now, Mr. Based wants to get on a big penis float, drive through my front yard with his balls dangling on my face and tell me I gotta take it, then I would have a problem with him. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about here tonight. I dislike Mike Pence strongly. He's one of my most hated politicians, especially in the Republican Party. You know, I'm really anti the Bushes. You know, that Jeb guy's trash. George W. Bush is a piece of shit. Fucking that Mitt Romney guy. Oh God, I fucking hate that guy. Quite a few. Mike Pence, I can't stand the guy. And it's not because of what they say he did on January 6th and all that. Like I'm some, you know, like, I'm really like, I never liked him from the beginning, you know, like, and I don't think most people that support Trump do like him, because I feel like most people that support Trump only support Trump because they hate the establishment guys like Pence. So when he chose a guy like Pence as his running mate, I think it really pissed a lot of people off. I think if Trump had even won the second term, I don't even think we would be talking about Pence being a front runner even after 2 successful terms under Trump. I don't think it would have been enough for Pence to get, elected. No. I do feel like they got him out here for a reason. So it's probably, I don't know. I mean, does anyone think Pence has a legitimate shot to win at all? Like, why is he even doing it? So obviously they've got some kind of play up their sleeve, and he's a Republican Party, and he's one of these never Trumper boys, from the Bush family, and all that. Well, he's like so fucking old, I hate that a guy like that gets rewarded at the end of life. Where he just, it's almost like I hate to see like end of life awards. Like when they bring these old people up at the Academy Awards and they never won an Academy Award, and they give them like oh well, you're like old, and why the Democrat Party? Because they obviously ran through their guy. You know what I mean? I'm not saying they cheated or whatever, but what I'm saying is they did. Biden was like the most unpopular candidate during the primaries. Most Democrats didn't want him. Why were they so into him? Well, they say it's like, well, he's just old. He's been around the longest. No, it's because he's a puppet. He's got hands up his fucking ass. Some of these other Democrats that were running, that they either don't have the hands up their ass or they haven't been around long enough to be trusted yet. Everybody know Biden got a hand up his ass, and Biden will do whatever you want him to fucking do. So that was why they had to have Biden in there, I mean, and also Biden had several aneurysms prior to being elected. You can look this up. And they had to cut the top of his head off, and they literally performed brain surgery on him. And then they sewed the top of his fucking head back on, and then he ran for president, and he got elected. But I didn't even know you could run. Like, if you had brain surgery, I didn't even think you could run for. I thought they had like medical standards. You had to like pass a physical or something, and I felt like if you didn't, but maybe not. I don't know. Because that one guy in the wheelchair, Roosevelt? Yeah, he probably didn't pass the physical, right? So maybe maybe I'm wrong about that, but mentally at least, And there ain't no way there's any mental test Biden's taking that he's passing. I mean, if they're saying that, the guy can't even speak, he can't even walk. They just literally lead him around like on a leash, And everybody can see it. Yeah, the digital currency. I mean, I understand. Like, I don't really use cash myself, but I like that cash is an option. And I don't know. Like recently, I've lost access to my PayPal. I can't buy anything with my PayPal because they want me to give them the login to my bank account. And I'm not making money from PayPal. I'm paying for shit with PayPal. So then I was reading there's some law like the Biden administration ran through where I don't know if you're doing some kind of like financial business with somebody, they got to have your like. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really looked into this much, but not only has PayPal done this to me, now DoorDash has done this to me too. So I don't really understand what's going on, but there's no way in fucking hell I'm giving PayPal to log into my bank account. Fuck you, man. I can't imagine anybody would. But I have a feeling most of you will, you know, and then I'm going to have to be forced to do that. What business is it of PayPal or anybody I'm doing business with? What transactions I'm making, how much money is in my bank account, any of that shit, you know? It's zero business of theirs. But that's ultimately what they're trying to get information for, you know? So I feel like they're just kind of like rolling this out, and they just like, I just happen to get picked up on this. Some people recently told me, because I know some musicians, and they told me like, what is that website, Bandcamp or whatever? They fucking started doing that to them, you know. And it's something I've had to do because I do make some investments, you know, and I've had to do it with some online brokerages, and I looked into that, and it was a law at the time. But now it seems like the law has been extended to if you make any kind of transactions using a credit card or something. I mean, I don't know, man. It's fucking fucked up. Yeah, I don't want to be a service economy. You know, I don't mind be. What I'm saying is, I don't even want to be getting. If I can help it, I don't even want to be getting stuff shipped from another state. You know what I mean? I feel like shit should be like more set up for local business. You know, and at the end of the day, I don't know how it's cheaper to have like corn imported from another country, and then force some farmers to like ship their corn for way less money out to some other fucking, you know. I don't understand how people are like making money hand over fist that way. Like it doesn't make sense to me, but they are, you know. I would like to just get my corn locally. I mean, of course, there's some places where they don't have corn. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, if you live in an area where you're able to get this stuff from your area, I feel like that's how everything should be set up. Because I don't know. I don't want to be getting medicine made in China. You know what I mean? I really don't. Wait a minute. Israel dropped a bomb on Syria? I hadn't heard about that. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I understand that, and I think you're probably coming from a place where you're like in Europe, right? So the immigrants coming there are probably majority Arab, and I've seen videos where, well, in fact, that ASAP Rocky, that rapper, you know, he got into it with some Arab dudes that were telling him that he wasn't allowed to be in that neighborhood and all this fucking shit, you know. But apparently, there's some areas like where if you're like, for instance, I'm from Texas, and like maybe like one day I'm walking down the street and there's just like a bunch of Arab dudes come out and tell me to get the fuck out of here. I'm not allowed there no more. You know, tell all my buddies that Texans aren't allowed on the street in Texas no more. You know what I mean? And then you call the cops, and the cops say they don't go down there no more. They just let those guys run it. You know. Well, yeah, I would be fucking, you know, I would be fucking pissed too. Luckily, we don't have shit like that happening. And I will tell you what, I mean, I will say, where I live, I go to a lot of different multicultural areas, and I have no issues with anyone. Nobody ever. But like I said, I'm in Houston, where there is like really no majority. You know what I mean? Like even if I am in Chinatown, You know, there's going to be like a couple of different types of Asians. You know, a couple white people, a couple black people, a couple Indians. I mean, you know, that's how it's going to be in Chinatown. You know, so maybe if it was just like a bunch of like Chinese only living there, maybe that would be differently. But most of those areas around here where I'm at, and like I said, I don't think I live in an area that's common, you know, at all. We've been like this for a long time, you know. It really is like just all different kind of people living there, here, and speaking the language they originally spoke, and doing their customs from their country, you know. And that's been going on here for like decades, you know. I think where I'm from in the Midwest, some people are starting to experience that now. And I do think that's very kind of like weird for me to think about. Because when I grew up in the Midwest, there were no like minorities at all where I lived. I mean, there were some black areas. And that's the other thing about the North. Everything's very segregated up there. In the South, like, I think they're so like, they held on to segregation here so long that they had to get forced, you know, to desegregate. Like, they really like went all out. I think up north, like, I don't know if they either by design or the black people just want to have their own area or something, but you know, up north the black people always have their own area, and then you have the white area. Where I live in Texas, there is no area like that, you know. Even Fifth Ward, like I said, is majority black people, but it was not weird for me to be a white person living in Fifth Ward at all. Yeah, you're a little like too into that, John B. I mean, I don't know. I'm not into. I mean, they're just like everybody else we're talking about, right? Like, I don't really believe there's like one group of people like doing. Well, unless you want to say that that group is the rich class, because I'm somebody that I don't really feel like racism is a big problem in 2023, but I believe classism is. And I also feel like people don't understand what class they're in either. I think there's a lot of people like me that feel like they're in a wealthier class when they were actually in a lower class, you know. And not knowing what class you're in can really fuck up your life too, let me tell you. Because if you're living in some swank area, because that's what you're used to or whatever, and you're only making so much money, man, yeah, you're fucked. You need to live where you will have some more money for yourself. Oh yeah, you're talking about. I doubt you heard a Tibetan monk say that, but it could have been. But there is they don't worship the Dalai Lama. They have a different master, and he's over in Sri Lanka, I believe. And they actually were like beheading Muslims there, and they were Buddhist, you know, which is very, very odd. And I actually know a guy that I used to work with a guy that was in that sect that were cutting off Muslims' heads back in Sri Lanka. And because I'm into Buddhism, and we would often talk about Buddhism. I don't know if you know about me, but I've been into Buddhism probably since I first heard about it when I was in high school. You know, I started reading about it. You know. And I'm into philosophies. I've read a lot of philosophy books and stuff like that. I'm very into philosophy. And I just feel like their philosophy is so cool. Like, I read a book about health as it relates to Buddhism, you know. And they were talking, and the whole thing was about how like sometimes people like wish bad health, you know, because then they don't have to be held accountable for anything. You know, they're just laying in a bed and they can't move, and they actually almost get some kind of happiness from being so fucked up that they don't have any responsibilities, you know. And I was like, I think that is true, man, to a degree. Like, I didn't like getting sick, but I love getting sick and not having to go to school and shit. I'd just watch TV and I'd be all fucked up. I can't breathe. And I'd be all like happy I'm not in school. Yeah, I can see that, Tom. Yeah, to me, I don't understand. I don't understand the surgery for kids thing, and to me, I feel like it's a strategy. You know, I think strategy is to get like post-puberty kids. You know, so they'll say like they think like 5-year-olds should be, you know, get the surgery, or they should have puberty blockers and stuff like that. You know. Which a lot of them, the way they talk about the puberty blockers, they go, well, it's not going to hurt anything. It just, you know, it's a little longer before they, you know. I'm not so sure about all that. To me, that just sounds like sometimes when you play with nature, you get unintended consequences, you know. And they can say that this is all like known. It's not. There's never been this many trans surgeries. So to a great deal, there's a lot of experimentation being done on the public, in my opinion, you know? It's the same thing with these like, what is that new, like, weight loss pill? Ozempic or whatever? I guarantee you that's going to get pulled off the market. There's going to be people dying from that. I mean, you know why I know that? Because it's like every single weight loss pharmaceutical drug ever, like Fen-Phen and well, was that pharmaceutical? No, that was a herb. What was that shit? I don't know. They had some pill like back in the 80s or 90s, and my aunt was like real big and fat, and she like started taking this pill, and what it did was it blocked your body's absorption of fat, right? So she told me she'd like shit out these big orange blobs of fucking fat every fucking day. And she started losing weight and her hair started falling out and shit. And then it turned out like you pulled this drug off the market because it was like killing everybody. But yeah, like Fen-Phen, that was an over-the-counter thing. And I kind of feel like that one got a bad rap. You know, I think it worked too well. They said some weightlifter guys were overusing it, and it was causing them to stroke out and shit, but I felt like they were abusing it, you know? It seemed like if you use it, and I knew a lot of people lost a lot of weight on that, and they didn't report any kind of long-term effects or anything. Fen-Phen. I've seen those synthetic wombs, man, and I guess basically what a test tube baby is, though, right? What were those? Is a test tube baby actually, are they just like the egg and the sperm combined in a test tube and it's put into a woman, or is it actually carried in the test tube? Because I always assumed that test tube baby was actually in a test tube. You know, it's like in a jar or something being, I don't know, maybe not. I don't know, like talk about this, but I used to like have a viewer that was Casey Kasem's daughter. And one of his daughters, and she was a singer, and she was a test tube baby. Like I had heard about her when I was a kid, because I remember when I was a kid that they were having this big brouhaha about Casey Kasem was having a test tube baby, and then like I don't know, like 20 years later, I was doing like this internet show, and she started watching my show and was calling in and shit. And it was her too, because she's been on. Because I don't know if you guys have heard, but her father died like some kind of weird death, and the two sides of the families are like hate each other and shit, and they have all these like mystery documentaries. And she's usually not involved in it, but occasionally they'll show a photo of her. Yeah, I wouldn't take a 10-year-old to Hooters either. I think that's pretty crass. But at the end of the day, like it's kind of like what I'm saying, right? If you're a parent and you want to take your kid to Hooters, because I've seen some people get criticized about that. Like they'll take like their 10-year-old boy for his birthday to Hooters, like the dad and the boy or whatever. And I don't know, man. I mean, last time I was in Hooters, they were wearing like the same shit that was considered hot in the 1980s, right? Remember when the aerobics were big and they had those aerobics shorts and shit, you know? Like, it all looks like 1980s hot to me. It doesn't even look like modern day hot. It looks like something like you might see like a hot pic of your grandma or something and she's wearing like the Hooter outfit. Okay, John. I kind of don't want to talk about that really. I mean, I understand. Like, I feel like there probably are people like that are involved, but there's people like you and me involved too. I have no doubts about that. If you're talking about the people who are trying to, I always forget at 3 o'clock in the morning. I always forget these words. Social engineer, right? I went over this the other night. I firmly believe there's social engineering going on. In fact, it's not too hard to prove. I mean, they kind of admit that they do try to improve on society's ills through education and things like that, and television shows, certainly after-school specials, telling you how to act and think and stuff like that have been popular for many years, you know, that kind of stuff. I know. I mean, I've actually known some Jewish people that have all been really cool to me, man. I mean, I don't know. They usually seem to like me, you know. I don't have any. I don't know. I don't have any problem with them personally, and I don't really think they're involved in anything. Just like me being a white guy, I'm not involved in anything either. I'm not getting, you know. I just have a bunch of white people moving against me as another white guy. I don't know how that's privilege. You know, it's just constantly like I have no beef with any other type. Like they try to act like it's like white people versus the minorities or the gays, or if you're a leftist, they say you're against the religious and all this fucking no. Defined as a male's propensity to be sexually aroused by the thought of himself as a female. You know, now that you mention that, I was just reading. There's a very strange letter Barack Obama wrote to his his college sweetheart or something. And it's in the news today. That's where I saw it. If you just go like on Google News or something and type in Barack Obama, I'm sure a bunch of articles will come up. Because it's an article that his like college girlfriend, it's like a letter his college girlfriend released a long time ago. And she had part of it redacted. And she like donated that letter to like a museum or something. So you can't photograph this letter, but somebody went in there and transcribed what it said. And but anyway, supposedly in the letter, he says, and I'm going to quote exactly what it said. He goes, "In my mind, I make love to men every day. You know? And then he started going into something about how, like, he feels like he's not a man or a woman, that he's just like a being, which I could kind of relate to that. I mean, I honestly, I feel like a man because that's what I've been told my whole life, but I don't necessarily believe I'm really any different than a woman, other than the obvious differences that they have children, I have sperm, you know. Or they have eggs, and I have sperm, and they deliver the kids, but it's both of our kids, you know. But anyway, he says something like he's like nothing, and then he comes back into his body, and then he realizes he was born a man, so he chooses to live his life within the confines of being a man, which that includes presumably not making love to men. But he doesn't explicitly say that in the letter, other than that in his mind he makes love to men every day. And that was just a little fucking tidbit thing that was in the news today, you know. And again, I don't even like learning that doesn't. I'm not like, oh look, Barack Obama shouldn't have been president. You know, I'm not saying that. I don't care. I don't care if a gay person. You know, that's the thing. If there's black people and there's gay people right now that are Republicans and they're running as Republicans, and I've seen videos. She's not running, but like Candace Owens, for instance, I've seen white liberal dudes calling her the N-word and Uncle Tom right out in the open, standing next to black dudes. And you don't see that smeared all over the place. You don't see these guys getting fired from their fucking jobs, you know? And they're literally calling a black person the N-word because they're a white person, you know, not a black person coming up. Sure, black people come up and say that to her too. But I've seen multiple videos where white people come up and they're Democrats. And I think that's wrong. I don't care if you like. I don't agree with a lot of like really far left black journalists either. And if I saw somebody walk up to them and call them that, I wouldn't be for it either. So just the fact that your side is, you know, willing to give that guy a pass, somebody calling a black person the N-word, go fuck yourself, man. You ain't, I mean, I don't want to be a part of that at all. Not in a million fucking years. Yeah, I've seen shit like that too. Okay, man. Oh, wait a minute. I must have went backwards. Ah, there we go. All right, man. I don't like Mike Pence for many reasons, and Trump made very poor choices choosing his cabinet, which he has admitted. Yeah. But like I said, I don't think he had much of a choice, really. I think there's stuff they can do, you know. I mean, of course, it's going to mean that the Republicans lose. But there's stuff they could have done that if he didn't choose Pence, that they probably could have employed and probably would have been efficient at it. The fact that you're giving them Pence in that position means that they still have some control, you know. The minute that they think that they're not going to have any control and it could possibly face time for their crimes, that's when I get really scared about what could happen, you know. Yeah, I mean, I don't care about the like to me the vaccine thing. The only thing I had a problem with was the like I was forced to take it. You know, I didn't want to take it, and my employer basically, you know, told us that we would get. They didn't tell us they were going to fire us, but they told us that it was mandated. We weren't going to be allowed to come to work until we got it done. You know, and I don't know anybody that took them on. You know, I did not want to take the mRNA vaccine, the Pfizer, and I took the Johnson and Johnson. I'm not saying that that's any better, but you only had to do the one shot, and you know it's fucked up too. But I feel like it's differently fucked up from the Pfizer shots, you know. And I'm not even saying that the shot, like I'm saying, I don't. I'm not stating as a fact that the vaccine is going to do anything to you badly. It's like, for me, it's like they wanted me, because when I had to go get it and facing losing my job, and they later lifted this, but I had to sign a paper that if I died or if anything happened to me, no one would be held accountable, because this was not approved by the FDA. So I had to sign this consent form at the threat of losing my fucking job, and I just don't feel like there's any way that my rights were not trampled on, you know, in some way, you know, like I feel like I should be able to sue somebody's fucking ass, but because this shit was not approved by the FDA, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking put it in my body. People act like, oh, if it doesn't work, oh, it just didn't work, you know. No, that's not how vaccines work. They change your fucking body, dude. You know? You have a reaction to it. You're permanently changed. I mean, I'm not saying that you're going to change into something even bad, you know, but you don't really know because it hasn't been tested. And they're forcing me to fucking put it in my body. And I don't think that I'm retarded or crazy for not wanting to do that. I think the people that were fucking lining up begging to have that shot are fucking retarded and crazy. That's what I think. But at the end of the day, I don't care if you made that choice to go do that. To me, that's what you wanted to do. My whole problem with it was them forcing people to fucking take it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to take it, and I had to take it. Yeah, I remember Jill Stein. Man, dude, come on, John. Oh, it's okay, Tom. I'm not usually up this late either. I actually have a morning show sometimes. So, you know, I'm like, I've been kind of like stressed out lately. So I'm kind of up really late. Smoking a lot. Like I said, I'm kind of pulling for Orange. Just because everybody that... I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are well-meaning that hate him too. But I'm talking about, like, when you talk about the Bushes hate him, Mitt Romney hates him, you know? The Clintons hate him, Pelosi hate him. All these fucking people that we know have done crimes and have gotten away with it scot-free, are all in the media screaming about how there needs to be justice. And it's like, oh, they want a politician that, you know, face justice, so they pick Trump, you know. Because to me, it's obvious he's not in the fucking club. Because none of this would ever happen to Biden. Joe Biden's son just pled guilty. They took that off the table now, and I think it's 100% because of this, what I'm about to say. But the guy fucking pled guilty to taking money from a foreign entity and splitting it with his fucking dad, man. The current president of the United States, he pled guilty to that. And you probably not even fucking heard about it, have you? Or if you have, I mean, could you imagine if anything even like that was said about one of Trump's kids? Oh my God. You know, they would have, give me a break, dude, you know? Oh my God, I need to stop bringing this up on my on my thing, dude. You're gonna get me banned or something. This digital currency is going to allow them to control and see every transaction and tell you what you're allowed to spend money on, like China. Yeah. Now I don't understand how the digital currency. Are you talking about crypto or are you talking about something else? Are you talking about that government-issued crypto that they want to do? Because I mean, I think there currently is a U.S. dollar crypto that's out there. You can buy it, but it's never worth more than $1. You know, that you can use it online, but I don't know. I mean, because the thing about crypto is, I thought it would make it harder to be tracked. I thought that was the whole reason why crime groups use crypto. Man, John B., dude. Yeah, that's true, yeah. And they don't even have to pay to get the paper printed anymore, you know? Not only is the money not backed by anything, they don't even have to pay to print it up. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. They don't assimilate. They are building colonies to fight non-believers as they were commanded by their prophet and his example. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, I don't mind, like, when you have immigrants coming in, they need to at least respect the rules of the country, right? I mean, that they're moving to. And what I'm saying, this is not uncommon, you know what I mean? Like, there's a big, you have the East and the West in the world, right? And the East has one way of thinking about shit, and the West has another way of thinking about shit. You know, that's why we're, like here, the idea of marrying a 5-year-old is like grotesque, and it should be. But over there, it's like normal to them. It, like, if you even were to say that, it would offend them because, like, you know, they know a lot of people that are married to kids. You know, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to explain, but they just. They have what I'm saying is, I think it all comes down to morality, right? So, like, they have different, like, everybody thinks, like, morals are just, like, normal. Like, I always hear these atheists go, I've got better morals than even Christians have, you know? And, no, you have Christian morals, you know what I mean? Because you were raised in a Christian country, and you think that you're morally correct on everything, but people in other countries, their morals are fucking different, and they don't agree with you. What I'm saying is there is no, like, natural morals, you know what I mean? There's just, stuff is just what it is, you know? We as a society come up with a set of morals that we expect people to live by, and, you know, like I said, like, if you're like some 40-year-old guy and you decide you're going to get married to an 18-year-old or something, like, you can do that legally. But probably everybody in your family You might even get disowned by people in your family, or you're going to get pressure about that, even though it's not technically illegal. So then you got like people that want to go under 18. You have to make that illegal because they're just like, no, you can't do that. So it's like, I don't know, like there's a lot of stuff that is morally wrong under Christianity that is not morally wrong in other parts of the world, and they don't, you could try to explain it to them, but they'll never understand it because at the end of the day, it's like a made up thing, It's not made up though, because what I'm saying is like, it's wrong, it's morally wrong to do that to some things, you know what I mean? In my opinion, like killing people, for instance, that's like something that's pretty universally morally wrong, And even if it's not, they'll use their morals to justify the killing. Yeah, I'll probably get debanked. I'm already, like I said, I can't even use my fucking PayPal. That's what I'm saying. Having lived in the North and the South, I can tell you that I feel like racially, people are cooler with each other in the South. Like, I've never just had like a bunch of black dudes come up to me and start telling me they're going to beat my ass. But that happened to me in Chicago one time for like I'm sure just because I was a white guy, But I've never had that happen here, and I've actually been all over. Like I said, I'm always the minority, And maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Maybe they feel bad for me. Or maybe they also don't feel like they're part of a majority, so we just kind of like cling to each other. But for whatever reason, it works. I like how they do it here. I just don't think that probably there's enough of everybody to do it everywhere like that, Yeah, I know but like, dude, I know a guy, man. He's all about cutting off the heads of Islamic dudes that are in Sri Lanka. And he's a Sri Lankan guy, and he's always talking about peace and like love and all this fucking shit, But I went out to dinner with him one night. Oh no, I didn't go out to dinner with him. I forget where I was at. I was somewhere, and he showed up there, and I was talking to him about it. And I brought it up because he mentioned his master was that guy from Sri Lanka. Because I had just been reading about it. I watched a documentary about it. And I brought it up, and this guy went, dude, I thought he was going to chop my fucking head off, man. He was fucking pissed. And he's a Buddhist guy. He was weird, man. He was like, oh, they come in, they do this and that. Like he was saying they were like raping women and stuff. They were coming in and saying the women were sluts and like raping them, gang raping them and shit. So they would go down and cut their head off, So I don't know. That's what he was telling me. And that's the thing about Tibet. That's why they got overrun by China. They got invaded and they just left. You know what I mean? Like they didn't have like really any kind of like war strategy or nothing. Like, and that's the downside of being Buddhist, because when somebody doesn't believe in your philosophy, once everything you have, they'll just come right in and take it from you, and you're supposed to just like give it to them and like sit there and like smile. Not in Sri Lanka, they ain't. I lost over 100 pounds in the past year. Congratulations. Oh my God, the cabbage soup diet, dude. I fucking did that. It's good too. Like the first like few days of eating the cabbage soup is pretty good, man. And then I swear, by like the fourth or fifth day, that cabbage soup is like the rankest, stankiest fucking thing you ever fucking ate. And I can still taste it in my mouth, dude. Oh my God, I'm getting shivers. But it was effective. I did lose some weight. I shit a whole lot. I think they still do have. I mean, I think they actually have the synthetic wounds now. They kind of look like a pod, you know. To me, I don't. Oh well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Because you have that. I don't know. To me, I'm sure they can do it. Yeah, that's who I'm talking about, John B. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Like every time I go to Hooters, man, it's like 80s hot. Like they haven't upgraded their outfit since the 80s. It looks like something Jane Fonda would be wearing on a workout video or something. Dude, I went to a place and it was called the Tilted Kilt, and I actually took my wife there because I like Irish food, and I wanted a Scotch egg, and I saw this Tilted Kilt place, so I go in there, man, and it was like, dude, first of all the chicks were wearing these like little tiny like plaid skirts, you know, and like belly shirts and stuff, and then it was like way worse than Hooters, man. These chicks were like all over me, dude. And my wife was sitting there, and dude, I was very uncomfortable. They were just kept flirting with me and stuff. But anyway, there was this black chick walking around, and her ass was so fucking big, dude, that the skirt only like came down like one half a fucking cheek, man. And she kept like getting bread and shit for the table next to us, and her fucking whole bare ass cheek was just like literally sitting on the fucking table. So like I never seen that at Hooters, you know. Yeah, that's what I think, Mitch. It's like that old saying, you know, united we stand, divided we fall. We all here in America, and probably worldwide, we all have, more so in America, but then we also, like what I'm saying is probably worldwide, everybody has this like 90% same wants, needs, and desires. I mean, the 10% difference is mostly regions that you live in, you know, and maybe what kind of religion or culture you're from could change that a little bit. But 90%, we all want the same. We all want and need and desire the same thing. You know what I mean? But instead of like coming together and demanding that 90%, we're all like fighting each other over that 10%, which is like not that important at the end of the day. Now I understand a lot of this shit could be important to some people, but at the end of the day, it's usually a small amount of people it's affecting. And I'm not saying that if there's any injustice in the world that it's not wrong and that we should not do everything we should do to try to correct that. But, you know, I feel that we should. But at the end of the day, like fighting over it, it doesn't matter. I mean, let's just get together. Let's get the things that we need, that we all commonly need. Let's get that worked out. Then we can talk about the other shit. But right now, the whole world's falling apart, and we're all obsessed with what color we are, what gender we are, you know, and shit like that. And it does, to me, that ranks very low on issues we should be thinking about right now. Yeah, I think it's horrible what's going on with small businesses, you know. I'm really against that. That's where, like, I'm almost like an anarchist, you know. Like, I want very little government. I want very little rules and stuff like that. However, I do feel that there are some needed, you know, and I do believe that there needs to be some regulation uh, for business, you know, because I feel like without some regulation, you cannot have a true free market. And the reason I say that is because worldwide you have different countries have different rules and stuff like that. So you're always going to end up having people being exploited in this type of system, you know. Like I'm a big fan of Ron Paul, but he doesn't want any like business regulations at all, you know. I don't. To me, I don't believe that myself. Like, for instance, I was a real fan of the still tariffs, you know, that Trump put in. I think they still have them going. I mean, yeah, it's raised the price of cars and stuff like that, but you know, at the end of the day, I would rather them use U.S. still. What I'm expecting to happen is I think there's like I think there's like way more immigrants in the United States than they let on. I mean, it's impossible to have an accurate number because they're here illegally and there's no, you know, there's lots of people here unaccounted for. So when they throw out these figures, I don't think they're accurate. I think we're probably, you know, I don't know how many people they say. What do they say, like 15, 16 million people? I think it's like far more than that. And by the way, there's only, the entire population of Canada is like 20 million people. Okay, so that's like almost having like, just from what they tell you, that's almost like having the entire population of Canada illegally in your country. You know, and if you don't think that doesn't fuck with your economy, and if you don't think people are being exploited, that are being brought in here as workers to work for nothing, you're fucking crazy, man. You know. So what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to start pushing at some point that, oh, we've got all these immigrants and there needs to be some kind of clear path for them to get citizenship. The system's broken. We've got to do something, you know, because they're not paying taxes and we got to get them, you know, that's how they'll spin it, you know. They're not paying taxes and we got to get this, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to have them, like if you're an immigrant, do 2 years service for the military or some government agency. You get to work in society. You get to work off your green card or whatever. Then you get to become an official citizen of the United States. So I think a lot of people will be like, well, that's a good idea. I don't mind if they, you know, if they want to like serve their time in, you know, some kind of doing stuff for America, then they get, yeah, that's fine. But what I'm saying is there's going to be, this is what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be, like at some point, they're going to announce that they're going to do this, and at some point, nearly the entirety of the U.S. military is going to be foreign-born, you know? And they're not from the United States, and they don't necessarily have our morals or our best interests at heart. They just want to live in the United States. Where they come from, it sucks really bad. They do not want to go back, and the government has just given them a billy club and told them to beat our fucking head in, you know? I think it's exactly because I don't think that American people, when it gets to a certain level of enforcement, a lot of American people ain't going to they're going to be like, fuck this, you know, this ain't America. So they're going to have a whole foreign-born military. Probably the police will all be foreign. Everybody. And they're going to be they're going to be doing whatever they're fucking told, man. You know? They don't necessarily have a problem with you. They want to be an American, and this is what you do to become an American. They're going to crack your fucking head open. Yeah, I don't understand it either. To me, it's just like your hair color or whatever, you know? Dude, men are emotional and cry a lot too nowadays. And I don't even think necessarily that's wrong, you know? Because like I've told people, you know, I'm around a lot of feminists, man, okay? Just the people that I hang out with and the people I'm around and people in my family. They're all very much feminists, you know? And I told them, I said, being a guy is not that great, you know? Like I remember when I was a kid, like I was like 11 or something, I was in gym class and or maybe I was in football I don't know, it was one of those two, and I was winded, man. Like we were doing some kind of exercises and I couldn't complete it. I was like completely winded. I thought I was going to have a heart attack and die. And the PE teacher came up to me and he fucking gut punched me right in the I couldn't breathe anyway, man. He gut punched me right in the fucking stomach. Told me to walk it off. You know? I mean, this is the kind of shit that happened to me growing up to turn me into the way I am, you know? And I don't necessarily think that's normal. Yeah, I believe women are equal. And yeah, they're not the same. Like, you need both. But I also feel like, I mean, I feel like if you don't want to act womanly and all that shit, you shouldn't have to. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be treated like, if you're a woman and you want all these hot guys and stuff, but you also want to act like a guy, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Not going to happen. So if you're really into wanting hot guy, you want to look like a hot woman or whatever. If you look like a guy, you know, you're probably going to get chicks that like, you know, boyish looking girls or something, man, you know? Yeah, we've, a lot of that stuff's kind of fucked up. I don't know how I feel about circumcision, because I feel like, on one hand, I do think that's pretty fucked up, cutting off a part of your dick without your consent. You know, you have no knowledge to speak for yourself. And I kind of feel like if they had explained it to me as a baby, I would have been like, hell no, man, don't do that. But they just did it, and I don't know any different, man, you know? And, you know, I come, I have sex, I come. It's not a, you only have, I mean, everybody acts like you're not getting your full sexual arousal, but you only have like orgasm in one spot on your foreskin or whatever, you know. It could be in different spots, and you've cut off a large majority of your sexual nerves there to where there's only like a smaller area where you can have an orgasm. But it seems like, I mean, you can still have an orgasm. Like, it's not like you're cutting your dick off, you know. But the thing for me is, like, I'm the only person in my family that's been circumcised when I was born, you know. I guess my father wanted me to be circumcised, He was not circumcised, but he ended up having to get circumcised as an adult. My grandfather, as an old man, his fucking foreskin grew together. He couldn't even fucking piss no more. So he had to go get his fucking dick skin cut off as an old man, which I think was very traumatizing for him, you know. And then I had a cousin too. Like his shit was so nasty, with smegma and all kinds of shit, dude, that he finally had to go get his fucking dick skin. And he claimed he was washing it all the time and shit. He was in Florida. He said it was all sweaty down there all the time. So everybody I know that didn't have a circumcision at birth ended up having to get one at some point. And they were older and they had to like know they were getting part of their dick cut off. To me, that would be way more traumatizing. So I guess I'm kind of glad I got circumcised. And if I did have a kid and it was a boy, I probably would have it circumcised. Well, who are the Democrats? So they're white people. You know what I mean? I always think it's hilarious when they go, "Oh, look at all the white people at the Trump rally or whatever." There is not a whiter event on the planet Earth than the Bernie Sanders rally. Okay? I mean, there is not a whiter place on Earth than the Bernie Sanders rally. And I would say he was probably really the guy that should have got that nomination. I believe that he probably was the most popular candidate. But I don't see like a bunch of black dudes hanging out at Bernie Sanders rally. I don't see, anybody but white people hanging out at a Bernie Sanders rally. Oh, sorry. That's sort of like they got some new StreamYard gadget that lets you do a green screen without a green screen. Now, I have a green screen, but because of my lighting in here, this actually looks better than my green screen, so I just use this function. But yeah, my arms and sometimes like half my head's fucking gone like Ex Machina. Yeah, they made a lot of money, that's for sure. That's what I'm saying. He did not even take a pay. He didn't even collect a wage for being president, He rejected that. So there's people out here saying that he was trying to sell secrets for like $1 million and shit. Like, dude, there's like no way I'll ever believe that. You know what I mean? And like I said, I feel like Trump is kind of scummy. Like I don't naturally like the guy. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've always hated the guy ever since I was a kid. I didn't like him. But I just know that I hate far more people that hate him. You know what I mean? Those are the people I don't want to have control at all. True, this guy might steer it right into the ground, but it'll be on accident probably. You motherfuckers are steering it into the ground on purpose. So I don't give a fuck. I know what those people are going to fucking do. Election after election, because we've all seen it. We've all been through it. Yeah, I remember when he was like running for president, Biden. And they made a big deal about how he had been retired since, he had gotten out of being vice president. And he was all bragging that he reported his taxes or whatever. And he paid something like $900,000 in taxes that year or something. But technically he was retired, So to me, that speaks volumes. Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like they're probably going to have a currency here like the euro. I feel like it'll be like a North American Union currency. I feel like Asia will get their own currency. The thing about like an Asian Union, I don't know like how they will deal with. I feel like they're already trying to acclimate the Australians to like the Chinese government style, because I feel like the powers that be feel like Australia would serve better in a Asian partnership. But like Japan, I could never see Japan being involved in like an Asian partnership, you know? Yeah, the Amero, and that used to be on the government websites too. I used to tell people about that, and they had the coin. It was actually, this was the actual website of the U.S. government. Whatever that .gov or whatever, WhiteHouse.gov or whatever it is. I don't know. You could go there, and it would tell you all about the Amero. They were gonna like try to implement this at some point. They didn't know exactly when. And they've already done something with our driver's license, to where they've got that where you don't need a passport. If you have that North American driver's license, you can go right through to Mexico, Canada, United States. And I think that's all like voluntary, but eventually that will probably become the standard driver's license for all three countries. I will bet you any money. They're just testing it out right now, getting all the kinks out. And then once that happens, that's when they'll make it mandatory. Yeah, I used to know a Muslim chick that was she lived in Amsterdam. I knew her online. She was a streamer. And she was really into the Islamic religion, and I would talk to her a lot. We'd have very long discussions about, her take on Islam and stuff like that. And she would tell me shit like, for instance, if like she wanted to be in she wanted to be in a harem, right? And she was planning, because she was living in Amsterdam, but she was planning to move back like to Saudi Arabia. I believe she was a Saudi, and she wanted to be part of a harem. And she was telling me that, I don't know how we ended up talking about this, but she told me like when her dad would die, whoever becomes her husband is going to marry her mom if her mom's still alive. That's how it works. And that everybody got to be like married or something there, And then like he'll become her mother's husband as well, or I mean wife as well. But it's just because he takes care of her. Like they wouldn't actually ever have sex or anything like that. But and as I asked questions, she admitted that if he wanted to have sex with her, then she would just let him do that, because he's the one that's taking care of everybody, and if that's what he wants, then that's what he gets, basically. But she was trying to tell me it was sort of like a faux pas, like, yeah, these dudes will like marry like your mom and your sisters and shit, but they don't actually fuck them. They're just like ladies that otherwise would be like old biddies or something. You know, they don't have their own husbands. No one ever wanted to marry them. So they just kind of like collect the family members that nobody wants. And and they're kind of like forced to marry him because they can't just live like with another woman in the house or something. I don't even know if this is true. This is what this chick was telling me, you know. But then again, we look at things one way and they look at things a different way. So it's hard to tell what they actually do over there. To us, it seems like what they're doing over there is like super perverted, you know. But maybe it's nothing like that, you know. I don't know. Yeah, but at the same time, Mitch, it like goes against their whole philosophy, you know. Because to me, the whole point of Buddhism is that's the way that if you live that way, you know, everything's going to be the best for you. Or let me rephrase that: if you live a certain way, you'll get through with like as little problems as possible. I mean, I think the Buddhists, they view life as just a bunch of bullshit and stress, and a lot of people like, you know, stealing from you, fucking you over, you know, and you're always upset because people are fucking how they're treating you. They're just kind of like, well, this is how it is, so you just have to deal with it. You're not getting pissed off about it, you know. If somebody's hungry and they want food, give them your food, you know, because they're going to fucking steal it from you. They might come in here and, like, slit your throat in the middle of the fucking night and take it. Just give them the fucking food. It's the right thing to do. You can just get some more tomorrow, you know, like, you know. It's an interesting philosophy, but when it comes to war, like, it doesn't work. Yeah, that sucked. I mean, and I hear that they like over there they like keep all of that under wraps, right? They don't allow the media to report on it or anything, and they have secret courts where it's not open to the public. Is that true? Yeah, I went to a Greek place and they had a belly dancer. Very similar. My wife likes belly dancing. She's into it, so she doesn't mind. I've had to go to a bunch of belly dancing stuff before. But at this Greek restaurant, there were like college girls or something, and they could have even been high school. Like to me, they were like those college girls where you couldn't even tell, like they could possibly be like college or high school girls, right? And they were wearing some very skimpy outfits. And I saw this, like there was a whole family eating like dinner, like a big Greek family. And I saw like the grandpa like stick his hand, like he stuck $1 down this like young girl's panties that was belly dancing at the restaurant, you know, like real great. Like it was pretty shocking, you know. And they were all trying to play it off like grandpa got a little handsy or whatever. I was like, this chick just got raped, man. Yeah, I'm not that into belly dancing for some reason. Like, I don't know, man. Like, my wife's into it. So I've been to a lot of belly dancing events. And even before that, other girls I have dated have been into that. Dancing in general, you know. And it always makes me very uncomfortable. But, like, I've seen some pretty, like, fat chicks belly dancing, right? I mean, they really do got a belly. They're not, a lot of times, all that hot. to look at, in my opinion. And they're also usually like middle-aged, like the real belly dancers. Like they're usually always like middle-aged looking or something. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, that's what's bad about that, Tom. But I feel like what we got now is sort of like we have almost got a monopoly where I don't know how many banks are there now, like real banks. Like, isn't like every bank owned by like three or four different mega banks or something now for the most part? I mean, there's real no choice. Like, you got three or four different choices. You got the telephone companies are the same way, you know. Everything's broken down. Like they seem like they got a lot of choices out there, but they're all owned by the same, you know, three or four same companies own all these like umbrella companies to make it look like there's all these choices. And they'll have like a little bit of price differences, but I feel like these players in the industry, they all like work together to set the prices, you know, like already. You know, I think you can go all the way up from the banking level, you know, all the way to the telephone. I think the telephone companies just have an agreement to where this month you're going to be the cheapest, next month we're going to be the cheapest, and it's just going to be like a couple dollars difference. And if we work together, we'll maximize our profits. We're all, you know, we're not going to like kill each other, you know, trying to get the best price for the customer no more, you know. And I think that's what's going on. I think everything's been monopolized through regulation, really. Because like some of these like some of these things you have to buy to start a business is like crazy expensive. Like you know, licenses and stuff like that. It might cost like $1 million. It's like chump change to one of these big companies, you know. But that's how they. And these big companies are the ones that want these giant, exorbitant fees. You know, they're the ones that want it because they want to use it to take their competition out. Kind of getting a little tired. I'm kind of starting to. I think I've been ranting for like a long time tonight. I have not read that. I mean, I have not watched those, but it sounds like it's right up my alley. You know, I have read a lot of the Glassnost files and stuff like that. I mean, there's too much to read them all, but I mean, I've read books that, you know, show a lot of the more fucked up things. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying, Tom. But I bet you that's what it's all heading towards. You know? Oh, hey, Booty Cream Cheese. How you doing? It's good to hear. Yeah, I will. I'll agree with that in general, but there's always going to be the exceptions to the norm. You know what I mean? I mean, I do think, like for instance, I think I was talking earlier, maybe not today, but some other, but I was raised by women. Like my parents got divorced at a very young age, and I'm really, I'm really self-conscious about my weight. You know, I have an eating disorder. You know, I've been very fat, and I've been very thin. You know, like my whole life, I go up and down, and I've had anorexia. You know, I've been diagnosed with that and hospitalized, and I've also been 400 pounds. You know, and my mentality. I think it all comes from my mentality because I have like a woman mentality about my body and my looks, and because when I got diagnosed with anorexia as a kid, as a teen, and I had to go to a group therapy with these other anorexics, and they were all teen girls, you know, and even they were treating me like a freak, you know, because they thought I was weird because I was a guy that had body issues, you know. I think it's a lot more common nowadays that men do have body issues, but I think that's also probably because a lot more guys are being raised by their single moms, you know. Because I was raised by my mom and my grandmother primarily, and you know, my grandfather was around, but he wasn't really that, you know, like he wasn't like my dad, you know, like. So a lot of stuff that got instilled to me, you know, it's kind of like womanly, you know. I don't act like a woman, really. I don't think, but I think like a woman. So then I wonder, like, so that's why I can see that part of thinking like a woman and thinking like a man is learned. Is Killer Mike at a Bernie rally? No way, dude. Maybe. You know, like John B here, the black community has had a long history of issues with the Jewish community, particularly in like places like New York City, Chicago, stuff like that. Been clashes with the Hasidic Jewish community and the low-income blacks, you know, that's been going on for decades, you know. And it does seem like there seems to be like, well, first of all, they're a minority, so there's less black people in America to go to a rally, Bernie Sanders rally, but I feel like a lot of them don't like him because of his religion, you know. Thank you. Yeah, I hate that new fucking ID, man. I fucking hate it. I don't want it. Like, to me, like, I was thinking about going up to Canada just for the hell of it, but I have to go get a passport. I don't currently have one. And then people are like, well, don't you just get that ID and then you'll be good to go or whatever. I'm like, I don't know if I want that fucking thing, dude. I mean, I guess I gotta get a passport anyway, right? Because I think you gotta show them your passport and they give you the new ID. Yeah. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't understand. I don't know if this is true, but I was like reading somewhere they were saying like green eyes was a sign of, like, if you have green eyes, then you have like incest in your family tree or something like that. Is that true? Because I heard something like that. Yeah, the inbreeding is like one of those things where you know you shouldn't do it, right? But it's possible to happen. You know what I mean? So it's like it's kind of weird. Like you could even do that. You know what I mean? Because we know it's not right. Because like if you do that, you know, after a while, I mean, I've seen like I think people think like if you have a kid with your cousin, it's just going to be retarded or something. But I don't think it's like that. I've seen lots of talk shows where like cousins have had kids and they have their own family and they seem relatively normal. I've even seen a dude that was a product of a brother and sister relationship on some talk show and he seemed relatively normal as well. I think he might have some, you know, I think you have a greater chance of having some kind of fucked up like genetic issues or something. I guess at some point, because we had to start somewhere, right? So I mean, no matter what your origin theory is, at some point, We had less people. We were probably more scattered around. So I'm sure for many years that was probably the norm. You know what I mean? If not your direct relative, probably certainly cousins, stuff like that, you know. And it makes you wonder, like, religiously, you would think that God would not allow that, you know. Like, if you came out of the same bloodline, like, you couldn't even have a kid or something. But you can have a kid, so it seems like... But like I said, at some point, it had to be that way, you know what I mean? So that's why if green eyes developed out of inbreeding, I can see probably how it happened, you know. It's not like I'm going to automatically think that I'm the product of an inbreed, but, you know. Yeah, those grooming gangs were kind of weird. Do you guys have that thing with it? I think over in the Middle East, like if they think you're a slut or something, like a woman, they'll like come up to you and like squirt acid in your face to leave a mark on your face so everybody knows you're a fucking slut. I was watching a documentary where this was like becoming very common in like Britain, I think. And it wasn't just like dudes would come up to slutty dressed women and do it. Like other women, I think mostly were doing it to other women, like coming up and calling them sluts and like squirting them in the face. This is where I don't understand, like, I think the news articles I was reading were saying they were using squirt guns, and to me it's like if you put hydrochloric acid in a squirt gun, it most likely would not work, right? Wouldn't the fucking gun stop functioning almost immediately? I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Not even enough of those, in my opinion. We need more flavors of ice cream, more TV channels. Actually, I guess TV channels can go away, right? We're done being programmed too. We can watch our shit whenever we want to watch it now. I kind of miss TV channels because sometimes there'd be like, every once in a while, there'd be a good television lineup. But then I'll think about it and I'm like, yeah, fuck that, dude. Like, I can just watch anything anytime I want to now. It's much better. Oh, good talking to you too, Tom. I guess I'm about 10 minutes behind in the chat, man. I need to stop being so long-winded. But if you're still awake, I'm glad you came by. Yeah, I'm trying to unlearn some shit myself, dude. I understand what you're talking about. I think even in families where there isn't a divorce, you know, I think that a lot of times the dudes end up being like way influenced by their moms, because maybe the dad's not at home ever, you know, and maybe they have a bunch of sisters or something, you know. I think probably, like, if you had a bunch of brothers, you'd probably be more man thinking, you know. If that's the case where your dad's not home all the time, but he's still in your life. Okay, sweet. Is green eyes really the rarest? I thought blue was. I don't know. I have green eyes, I think. I don't know. That's what I don't know. Like I said, I'm married to a Hispanic lady. My whole in-laws are Hispanic, but so I remember when we first got married, like I would go around to her like relatives' houses and shit with her, and like they would all like, "Oh my God, you got green eyes! Oh my God!" Like they would all freak out. Like nobody, like I never even thought about my green eyes before. You know, they were like into it. Yeah, I mean, see, I don't even think like the women in the Muslim countries even mind. Like I said, that girl that I knew, she was living in Amsterdam. She was wealthy, and she could do whatever she wanted to do, and she wanted to live like that, you know. And she would argue with me about it. Like that's why we would talk a lot, you know. Oh, I see. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I knew plastic could, but I just figure like there's probably some small parts in the mechanism that maybe would be instantly dissolved. You know, that would make the squirt gun useless. But yeah, probably not because they were actually like reporting that they were using squirt guns. Hmm. And again, that's one way to look at it, right? I mean, they probably are. You know, they probably are because if all the chicks act one way, then these guys can't demand that they act like this. You know. I mean, I guess it just depends. Like to me, if you're a Muslim and you grew up like that and you want to live like that, and that's where people will say, "Oh, they're being brainwashed to be like that," you know. That's the thing about the Mormons too, where they do the wife trading and stuff. Where they'll tell like their buddy that they're gonna like they trade each other's daughters and shit, you know, like they're gonna marry each other's daughters, and they're like 12, you know, and they're being groomed for that. Like, okay, these girls want to do that, you know, but they've been raised like that. So, at what point are they brainwashed, or at what point are they actually doing what they want to do? You know, I can see advantages for women. You know, for instance, I mean, there's not dudes like staring at you all the time because you're completely covered up, and everybody is, and you don't look weird because all the other chicks are like that too. You know, they're all the same basically. They're just a bunch of black hoods walking around. They're being treated the same. There's nobody being treated as ugly or this or that. You know, I guess. I mean, probably if you're a hideous lady, you would love to be in that society. You know. All right, man. You have a good night. Come back and see me sometime. I do these irregularly, so, but I'll probably be around in a couple weeks, at some point. So anyway, I've been going for about 3 hours. I should be effectively canceled at this point. Not that I was ever, put on. I don't think I said anything that bad, did I? I always feel like everything I say is like very fair, but everybody hates like both sides hate my guts, dude. Both sides hate my fucking guts. I am banned from every Republican and Democrat site. And I don't even go there looking for shit either. I just am like trying to talk to them about what they think, and I'll be like, "Well, what about this?" And they're like, "Fuck you." Like the Republicans think I'm a commie, and the Democrats think I'm a Nazi. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mitch. But that's what I'm saying. People think I think weirdly, but I think that there is like in this country, I think there is room for a third party. You know, like for instance, I'm anti-death penalty and I'm anti-abortion. To me, that makes sense. You know, I respect life. I don't think the government should be like have a law saying you can't murder people and then they murder people. That doesn't make sense to me. I also feel like the amount of people that have been proven that they were innocent after they got executed is crazy fucking high. It really is, you know? And I feel like really like could you imagine being wrongfully accused of something and being put to death all the way up to like waiting, just sitting there waiting? Like to me that is torture, you know? They tell you exactly the moment you're gonna fucking die. And you sit there and you're like watching the clock off fucking day, you know? I almost feel like it'd be better if they just came in and like shot him in the head, you know, randomly. And I think they used to do that back in the day. I got Nat Turner's like exit interview right before they. You can buy it on Amazon. It's called like the Nat Turner Confessions, where like before they would hang a guy, they would go in and they would like make him confess everything to him, and he's talking about that eclipse and all that shit, and like God telling him he had to go do this and all that fucking shit. Not very long. It's a very interesting read. You know, if you're ever bored, you can probably download it online somewhere. I actually bought a copy. We should like try to start our own like movement, you know. Somehow. I don't know. I don't want to like. To me, it's like, yeah. I don't want to. I don't. I kind of like just want to be funny. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to be funny sometimes, and then I am interested in these headier topics. You know, politics, and I'm also into a lot of new age kind of stuff. You know, I like talking about all this kind of stuff, but I don't know. There's no political party for me with my thoughts and feelings. But anyway, I've been going for about 3 hours and 10 minutes, and I want to thank you guys for everybody that came by and viewed tonight. And you guys had great questions. You kept me talking the whole entire time. I don't even have to worry about copyright infringement or anything, man. You guys kept me going, so thank you very much, and hopefully. Oh, thank you, Mitch. I kind of consider myself a classical liberal as well, because I'm not a. I guess I'm more fiscally conservative, really. When you come to social stuff, I'm probably out there as they come. You know. I personally like a lot of weird shit, and I've been involved in a lot of weird shit, or nothing illegal or nothing like that, but stuff that other people have said stupid or, you know, whatever. I'm into the arts, and I'm into drugs, and I'm into that kind of culture, you know. But I'm not into like all this other fucking bullshit. You know what I mean? It comes with it, you know. And I don't even think it has anything to do with it. Like for me, I'm a punk, dude. I grew up a fucking punk. At a very young age, I was a fucking punk. I've always hated authority. I've always hated fucking rich people. I've always hated the fucking system. You know? But the punk movement got taken over by a bunch of communists, man. You know what I mean? And they started writing all these songs about communism and shit. Now that's considered punk. Punk, they don't give a fuck, man. That's not punk. It's like every fucking art form has been taken over by communists. And they act like if you're not a socialist communist, and yeah, I understand they're different, but in my opinion, that's what it is. It's like a combination of socialism and communism. Which who knows? In my opinion, neither has worked, so maybe a combination would work. Who knows? All right, Mitch. Yeah, that's when I get into like, well, I don't want to talk about drunken peasants, but that one guy, that mod they have over there, I forget his name. He's like a bull-headed dude, and he plays Magic the Gathering cards. And he's like a middle-aged guy. He's bald. I don't think he has a girlfriend, but I don't think he's gay or anything. He could be. I don't know. But he's a real weirdo, and he collects Magic cards, and he sells them in auction, and he gives to a charity that pays to have children's genitals removed. You know. And this guy actually put on Drunken Peasants' website that I sexually harass people. And I did no such thing. And I never have. And in fact, I'm extremely offended by that. And if I ever do go after Drunken Peasants, because I happen to feel the guy that runs that website is a real fucking pervert, and I got the receipts to prove it. But I'm not like him, so I'm just kind of sitting here, having rocks thrown at me. But at some point, and really I'm waiting on getting my numbers up, I'm gonna ride like a motherfucker, dude. And that guy fucking deserves it, man. Oh yeah, that's him. I just couldn't imagine that being your top priority in life, having kids' genitals removed. Like, how do you come to that conclusion in your life that you love these Magic cards you've been collecting, but you're going to do the right thing and you're going to like auction them off to have children's genitals removed? There's nothing else you could use that money for. Like, how did this become your passion, dude? You know what I mean? I think it's because you're a fucking pervert, dude. I think you're a lonely, bald fucking pervert. And you get off on having children's genitals removed. I think you're scum. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned traffic, and this has nothing to do with it, but I live in Houston, and a couple of years ago, this guy decided he was going to make a robot sex brothel. So he bought a bunch of those real sex dolls, and they were a little bit more technologically advanced. For instance, they had a speaker in their head that made it sound like they were talking, and their eyes blinked while you were fucking them. And he was calling them sex robots, and he opened up a brothel where you could get one of these sex robots, take it in a room, fuck it, and you pay for it. And I think they had like you had to buy your own pussy for it or whatever, And then they would put it in there for you, and then you would fuck it, and then they would remove it, and they would use the same sex doll, but it was like a different vagina every time or something, So the whole city went fucking nuts. They all came together. They literally ran this sex doll guy out of town. They could not believe it. They said, not in Houston, you're not going to do this shit. You can look it up. There's people giving speeches, everybody's clapping. They're all proud of themselves. They ran this sex doll fucking guy out of town. Meanwhile, look this up also. Houston, #1 sex trafficking hub in the whole world. Actual human beings, children and everything, being brought here from around the world. This is the first place they bring them, and then they send them out because there's an international airport here in Houston. And they ship them out all over the place. And then on top of that, they have open brothels everywhere down here. They call them modeling schools or massage parlors or stuff like that, But they're just straight up brothels. Everybody knows it, So I think it's funny that nobody cares about actual human beings being trafficked, but they all were able to come together and run this guy out of town for, I think it's weird, but at the end of the day, it's just some dudes were renting a doll to fuck in a closet you know, by themselves. I mean, who are they really hurting compared to the trafficking scheme that goes on here openly? You know, I see cops eating next to brothels all the time because they don't have any zoning laws here. They have dildo stores. They have a dildo store like right in the parking lot of Dillard's, which is a department store here. So you pull up with your family to go to the mall for shopping, and they got big black dongs hanging up in the fucking window, and they can't do anything about it because the guy already owned the shop, or you know, there's no zoning laws here. Like in the Midwest where I'm from, all the porn shops were on the same 2 streets, all the strip bars, everything, you know, because they had what they call zoning laws. You couldn't have adult entertainment businesses all over like that. But here, like I used to go to the Subway shop, sandwich shop, and there was a brothel next door, and I would go in, and right next door there's people fucking in this like mini mart area, and they had women in the window like half naked, just sitting there staring at you when you go into the Subway, like right out in the open, man. Like nobody gives a fuck. Oh yeah, please do. I forget what I tried to get a hold of you for, but it said I wasn't, like you blocked me or something. I don't know. I remembered what it was. Like I told you this before, and I remembered what it was, and then I forgot what it is again. But it's whatever it is. It's like nothing. It's nothing. For some reason, I think maybe I got banned from Drunken Peasants, and I was just emailing you to tell you that, you know, I like talking to you. And if you ever want to find me, here I am, or whatever. And it said you blocked me. I was like, what the fuck? Oh, I see. So they kicked me out of the server, so now I can't. I see what you're saying. Oh, no, I understand. I get that. But anyway, I will. Kind of like do. What the hell? Let me get that out of here. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I think everyone's gone now. So I'm just gonna take it off. I'm just gonna take off. But thanks for hanging out and hanging out with me tonight. All of you that watched. If you're watching in the future, don't hate me too much. I've just been like on like an epic rant. As you know, that means that the show is coming to an end when you see that guy. So I gotta get out of here. Till next time, I'll be seeing you.
Security for Mr. George provided by Bond International Security of Anaheim.
that sometimes you gotta shut the fuck up. And this current time is just one of those times you gotta shut the fuck up. I don't think you're a bad person. I just don't want to hear you talking anymore. You gotta shut the fuck up.